What's going on, good people? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Give everybody a second to get in here. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, good people? Give everybody a second to get in here. We're going to get to it. What up, Dr. Indy? What up, Els? What up, Rob? What up, Rico? What it do? What it do? What it do? Yo.
What's up? You hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. I give everybody a little second to get in here.
Oh, yeah.
And then we can get to it.
Do your
How
thing.
everything on your side?
Hey, life is beautiful.
It look beautiful.
Yeah, hey. Like I told you, man, I'm still in here setting up the studio and whatnot. Hold on a sec.
Nice.
I can grab something real quick. Hold on. I'm hype. I just got this in.
Oh, that's the outs for the ASR.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Because I know the live is like real weird. Can you see it down here?
No, I can see when you had it up. I can see it now.
You can see it right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, this it's the 8 out or the 6 outs because you used the 2 main for that one. Hold on. So this is the original one from the original EPS 16. Mm-hmm. And then this is the one from the ASR 10. They're different because of the connectors on the back.
Gotcha.
So this one right here will work on the EPS 16 Plus and the ASR 10 and ASR 88. This one right here only works on the EPS 16, the classic.
Gotcha.
So I finally got my hands on this one, man, because it's been a minute. It's crazy too because so I had this years ago, and you used to be able to get these like cheap, man, like super cheap. I had this years ago, and one of the outputs went out, and this was before I was really big into fixing stuff the way I am now. So I just sold it, and I was like, I'll just buy another one. And I lagged it and didn't do it, and then they just disappeared. And like trying to find one of these, man,
it was hard.
Yeah, if you come across one, get it.
It
took me years to get this one. I've had this one for years. Even these are hard to find, but it took me a while to get it, man.
That's crazy. Ooh, so to make that dumping process go by hella quick. Like if I was doing the 8 hours, like on the MP.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I've never took advantage. I've never took advantage of that. Like doing the 8 hours or what have you.
Yeah.
Like I've never. I know it make that dumping process go by. So
it does, man. So what's cool about let me see. So what's different in these two, like I said, I don't know if you can see it, but so on here, this one has the 8 outputs. This only has 6. So this one, you're using all 8 of the outputs and plus the 2 outs that come out of the stereo. So you really could get 10. This one right here is using the 6 plus the 2 you have to give you 8. So yeah, it does make a difference when you're dumping. So back in the day, you had to have this to go to studio, like you needed to, especially if you were trying to do a bunch of tracks. Yeah. So you're building all your tracks there. It just makes go by that much
balance
quicker.
And go by real quicker.
Exactly.
Opposed to now we can sit because it ain't no tape or nothing like that.
Yeah.
With the advantage of the computer, I can sit here left, right, left, right, left, right all day, as long as my computer is strong enough to hold that many tracks or what have
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. And so this one is easy because everything's synced up. You don't got to do any tricks. Like what I used to, I used to find ways around because not every piece of gear has 8 outs or multiple outs. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's like multiple tricks we used to use to dump it into a computer to sync up later.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, it just makes it so much easier. It's just less work you have to do. So I
Yeah.
mean, if you can get your hands on one, I definitely say do it, especially if you're building all of your stuff sound wise inside that machine. When you go to
Mm-hmm.
dump it out, it just makes it faster. Now, granted, I
Gotcha.
mean, if you're doing a track right on the spot, it's not that big of a deal. It really
Mm-hmm.
becomes a big deal when you're trying to do multiple things
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah,
one,
yeah.
in one go. It just goes a lot faster, and they sound good too. So,
Gotcha, 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 gotcha. So before we get into it, I'm gonna introduce you to everybody,
yes, sir.
and then we gonna go from there. What up, Gordy? What up, Mars? What up, Indy? So you guys, this is Mr. Ham. I met Ham through EA Ski. If everybody's in the live, my ASR has been shot to hell for about 2 weeks or what have you, and I had my shit at the shop here, and I'm gonna just keep it a buck with y'all like I always do. Them folks asked me that I have, what is it, a circuit? What was it, a circuit?
Oh, the schematics.
Schematics. See, I can't even pronounce it right. I
Yeah,
could. They asked me for like a schematic manual for the keyboard, and I was like, "Ain't no way in hell I'm gonna find that." So I hit up EA Ski. EA Ski gave me his number, and shit, we've been locked in on the phone for like 2 weeks
yes,
ever
sir.
since. But he got me that thing right there, that nice shiny thing right there. He took care of me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the
Nah.
crazy part is because of him, I actually got three of them right here. The other two on the floor at the same time. That's a whole nother crazy story. I went from having zero
Yeah,
ASRs to three at one time. Oh
abundance. You know what I'm saying? When
yeah.
you blessed, you blessed. You know.
Hey. But he put me back in the game or what have you, and we're gonna do some other shit. Cause I gotta send this MP to you or
Yeah,
what have you, so you can trick it out.
yeah,
But
yeah.
nah, bro, just got like a real passion for this shit, a real music head. So I just wanted to sit down and have a conversation with him, and also, shine light on him and what he got going, because he really helped me. He was like my, I guess, Dr. Andrews if I was a basketball player. And I tore my ACL, like he got
Yeah,
me back
yeah,
out in the gym because
yeah, for
I was
sure.
around this motherfucker moping like a little kid.
Hey man,
Like,
people were seeing it on the lives, man. You just look like a little kid let his balloon go, got his balloon popped or something, man. But I
man.
know how that is, man, because I love gear so much. When you own a piece and you connected with it to not have it, I know what that's like, man. And that's why when we talked and we linked, I know why Ski gave you, my info to hit me,
Mm-hmm.
man, because a lot of the times when you're dealing with repair shops or places that fix gear and they don't specialize in that specific things, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them sometimes they're not musicians themselves, they're not producers themselves, or they're
Mm-hmm.
not people that have compassion for the other end because they're in it for the business. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes they're not going to take the same precautions, they're not going to take the same amount of compassion as somebody who does this. And because I actually do this and I
Mm-hmm.
produce music, I've been doing this for a long time. I know what it's like to beat out without a piece. So
Mm-hmm.
it was incumbent upon me to make sure that I did everything in my power to get you aboard. And it was
Gotcha.
like, man, it was like Murphy's Law, man.
Yeah.
When we were dealing with this, it was like everything that can go wrong
Can't go
went
wrong.
wrong. And it was just like, but at the end of it, how I am, man, like when I'm riding with you, if I say I got you, like
Yeah, nah.
we're not done until it's over,
Yeah, nah,
right?
facts.
So it could have been easy just be like, all right, yeah, man, here you go, leave you flapping in the wind, you figure it out. But
Mm-hmm.
I've been in that position before, man, and I don't ever put people in that position, man. Granted,
Yeah.
you know, it's the easy thing to do, but it's not the right thing to do. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, nah, facts.
Getting you back up and swinging, man, and getting you back in. I knew what it would mean for you, but I was
Mm-hmm.
just as excited as you were because again, I know what it's like to be a producer, man. Be down and
Mm-hmm.
out. You don't got your, and then to top it off, not only was the ASR down, the MPC 3000 was down, so you couldn't even. So trust me,
Yeah,
man. I know what it's like, bro. I know what it's
yeah.
like, man. I know what it's like. I had to get you right, man.
Hey man, bro. Like I told you, man. Anything you ever need, man, we lock the step, bro. Cause
Yeah, no, for sure, man, for sure.
you
So
you
yeah,
really
I got
saved my baby.
yeah, I was. It's funny because I was hitting ski, and I was actually just talking to him before I jumped on here, man.
Uh
Uh,
huh.
you know, it was funny how this whole thing went down because we called it right. I
Hmm.
said when all that stuff went down, I was like, you know what's gonna be funny, man? You're gonna mess around and go from having zero ASR tens to all
Yeah.
of a sudden now you got three.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
over there living
Yeah.
living
And when you
rich.
said, I was like, man, that goofy ass shit might really happen. And then when you hit me, you was like, that's coming today. That's coming today. And I was like, hey, the repair shop told me I can come get my stuff. I was like,
Yeah,
all on the same day. I'm like, that's
yeah.
wild.
So I think we should probably tell people the story because they're like kind of like
They
you know
lost.
yeah wondering like what y'all talking about. So I mean I could tell it or you could tell it. It's up to
Nah,
you.
you can tell it.
All
You
right.
can tell it. You can tell
So
it.
so what happened was so King hit me. Ski gave him my info. He hit me up. And we just started talking, and basically he called me asking for the schematics, right? He was asking for, and if you don't know what the schematics are, that's basically kind of the blueprint of the map to any piece of electronics. It tells you all the resistors, the transistors. It tells you where everything is located in there and how to kind of troubleshoot a problem. And if you deal with electronics or anything like that, it's not a hard thing to find. It's really not that difficult. So when he hit me and asked me for that, I asked him what he what he was doing, and he was like, "Yo, the repair shop asked me for it." And I'm like, "Man, a repair shop asking a customer for the schematics?" I was like, "Oh, that's kind of weird, man." So we were just talking or whatever, and as he's telling me what's wrong with his board, I'm going through the numbers in my head. And because, like I said, I've messed with these boards so many, I've had them break down on me. I've been able to get some of them repaired, some of them I had to send out. I already knew it was going to be a price tag. But even
Mhm.
with that, I knew it wasn't going to be an easy fix because if they were already asking for the schematics to find the problem, I already know that these boards are kind of tricky. And once you figure out the problem, you got to go about it a certain way. So what I offered was that, hey, we'll basically work out a deal where I've got an ASR 10. I'll get you an ASR 10 because you're going to be down and out for probably about at least 2 weeks if they got to
Mhm.
source the parts, and that's not easy to come by. I got a working board that's rolling ready right here, ready to roll. So I told him I was like, I'll send it to you. This was when did we talk? I think we talked on Friday.
It was Friday because you sent it on a Saturday.
Yeah, we talked
Like,
on Friday. So that night when we got off the phone, I went through the board. I had already gone through it, went through it again, cleaned up everything, double tested everything. I maxed out the RAM. I put the SCSI in there, the whole nine, and I boxed it up. That morning after we got off of Skis Live, I headed over
yeah.
to the post office to drop it off.
Yep.
Like I said, I've never had an issue like what we're about to talk about with USPS. Never had an issue like that, man. And I went because it's right here close to the house, and I was like, okay, we got to see if we can get that there quick. Talking to the lady, we went over prices. I called you up when I was in line, like, hey man,
Hmm.
here's the prices to get it here. We went, we talked about it, and I was like, hey man, the fastest I could get it there to you is Monday. This was on
Hmm.
Saturday,
Yeah.
and I was like, yo, we gonna pay, we gonna get it there, we straight.
Hmm.
Dropped it, let them do their thing, and we are supposed to get it there on Monday.
On Monday,
Monday rolls around, and
that thing still say.
the reason we paid the extra was because again, we were trying to get you aboard as soon as possible. As soon as
Hmm.
possible. So no, I was cool with paying the extra money because I was like, you know
Hmm.
what? It's gonna get there fast. He's gonna be back in the mix. It's worth the
Hmm.
price. Because the original date she gave us was Thursday.
Thursday.
She was
Yep.
like, oh, we could get it there Thursday for this price. And I think it was like $50 or $60 more. We could get it
Hmm.
on Monday. So
Yep.
I was like, bet, don't even trip. Let's get it there on Monday. So Monday comes and I send and receive a lot of packages. And I'm
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
checking
Yeah.
tracking. I'm looking at the tracking, it hadn't been updated. And it's just like still at the service center where I live. And
Hmm. It's nowhere in hell. It's
I'm
nowhere
like,
in hell. It's gonna go literally from one end of the country to the other
to the
end of the
other.
country.
I'm like, nah,
It's no
man.
way.
So I hit you up, we're talking. I'm like, something ain't right, man. And then I think it was the next day when it didn't get delivered or something. You hit up the post office on the line, and I called them as well. And I went down there and was basically trying to find where the package is, and they were like, "We don't know."
We don't know. Gotta put a claim. Gotta put a
Yeah.
claim on it.
They were like, we don't know where it's at. And we're like,
Yeah,
what do you mean you don't know where? It was supposed to get delivered yesterday. They're like, we don't know.
we don't
So
know.
that's they told you the whole thing about, the weight of it, getting it scanned. I don't know how the post office works, but they're having issues scanning it. So I was like, something ain't right. So I was like, well, let's give it a couple days, see if it updates. And it just kept
Mm-hmm.
sitting in the same status for
Same spot.
days. So we're going back and forth, calling these places, trying to figure out where the box is. And they just don't know. They can't tell us where it's at. Nobody knows. We're getting a run around.
Then wait a minute, you can't forget when Shawty told me, she was like, "Oh yeah, because of the weight, it can't go through the machine, so somebody got to get off their ass with a hand
Yeah,
truck
and move
a-
it
and
because
move." And I was like, "So ain't nobody gonna get up?" She was
yeah,
like,
no,
"I don't know."
nobody gonna do no work today, huh? And the thing is the box is not that heavy. It's about 40
No.
pounds. It's long, but it's really not that heavy. And
Mm-hmm.
so it kept saying it was at the distribution center where I live. So I was like, well, let me see if maybe I could swing over there and maybe I could just grab it if they haven't shipped it yet. I went
Yeah.
over there, no luck. So keep in mind, this all happens on a Saturday. I think it was like Thursday when we talked.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, man, check this out, brother. I was like, I don't know where this thing is. I don't know when it's going to pop up. I'm looking online. They're saying it could be a week and a half. It could be whatever. It could be lost. We don't know. Luckily, I insured it, so I wasn't too tripping. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, all right, I feel bad for you, man, because we went through all of this to try to get you a machine quick as possible. Now it's Thursday. The original
Mm-hmm.
day they said it was supposed to be there. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this ain't good, man.
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right, so here's what we'll do. We'll wait till Saturday. If we
Mm-hmm.
don't see it pop up by Saturday, I will send you another ASR 10.
Pause. This
Yeah.
is why I call him the Jay Leno of music equipment. Now go back,
Yeah.
cause I don't. That's a
Yeah.
that's a slight flex, cause you
Yeah.
said, okay, it's one in the mail.
Yeah.
That's going through what it's going through. No worries, no worries. I got another one I'm gonna send to you.
Yeah. So basically, so basically, it was one of the ones that I was actually fixing up. As time, these things kind of go, hey, I have issues. And so I just happened to get the part I needed the day before. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, cool. Let me pop it open. Let me fix this. Let me do this. And then I called you. I was like, hey, man, the only thing is I don't have the RAM. You only got like 31 seconds of sample time. You're gonna have to really, you gotta
Yeah,
have to
yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah. That was the wild part.
or you might as well get the SP 1200. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, cool. Here's what we'll do. Let me troubleshoot this. Let me get the RAM maxed out. I'm gonna hit one of my boys, see if I can get some RAM from them. If not, I'll pull it out of my board.
Mm-hmm.
So ended up getting the RAM. It worked out, maxed out. I shot you the video. Like, hey man, you straight. You was like, oh yeah. So I purposely waited till Saturday morning. Now here we are a week later.
The
I
whole week.
purposely waited till Saturday morning. I said, I'm never using USPS ever again.
Nah.
So I go to the big boys. I went to UPS. And I checked FedEx too, but UPS had the better rate and the better timing for what we
Mm-hmm.
were trying to do. Usually I would go FedEx though, but in
Mm-hmm.
this specific situation and where I'm located, UPS just made the most sense.
No sense.
Yeah, so I went there, dropped it off on Saturday, sent it. They said it was going to be 2-day air.
Mm-hmm.
So originally they were like, hey, it might get there Tuesday, and it could get there sooner. I was like, all right, so we'll see. So I get up there, I'm looking at the tracking, and the tracking gets updated saying it's going to be there
Mm-hmm.
Monday. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, all right. So I hit you. I'm like, hey man, your board's coming on Monday. Man, I
Yeah.
kid you not. This is Saturday when we talk.
Mm-hmm.
I go to sleep Saturday night. I wake up Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
get
you
an
called me
alert at
early.
4
Oh,
o'clock in
early
the
Sunday.
morning. I get an alert from USPS because I put alerts on there every time it moves. From the original board saying, oh, updated delivery, estimated delivery Monday. I said, come on, man.
Shit,
I
wild.
said,
Oh.
come on. So I'm looking, I take that back. UPS originally said Tuesday. It was
Mm-hmm.
gonna say Tuesday. So I'm looking at the thing and I'm like, nah, you gotta be kidding me, man. So I call you up, we start talking about it. I'm like, brother, all of a sudden this thing just randomly pops up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what's gonna be crazy, man? And this is when I said what I said. I was like, it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
crazy because you were like, yeah, the place that's fixing my board, they call me to come pick it up. So I'm gonna go pick it up to this week and have it
Mm-hmm.
straight. I was like, man, this is gonna be wild. And I'll bet you what's gonna happen is I'm gonna send you this board, I'm gonna send you the other board, and then they're both gonna show up at the same day, the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I bet it is. And then the only reason I like try to intercept it or call it back is because at this point I still don't trust USPS, because I've seen where the things will be like, hey, it's at the distribution center by your house. Expected delivery this day, but it don't come until the next day or the day after. So I was like, man, what I don't want to do is try to recall the package from from UPS, because remember when that happened, I went to UPS the next day, that Sunday.
Oh yeah,
And I
you
checked to see
did.
if my package was still there, but they were on it. They
Yeah,
were like, nah, we shipped that
that
out
shit
last
gone.
night. That's about to be
Yeah,
on a plane tomorrow. I was like, man.
yeah.
So she was like, well, what you can do is you could try to see if you can go online and maybe intercept it and keep it from being delivered, just reroute before it gets too far. And I was like, you know what, man, knowing the way this is going, if I do that, I'm gonna recall it, and then USPS is gonna be on something. He ain't gonna get it for another week when he could have had
Yeah.
another. Like, you know what? Just let both of them fly. Just let them both go. Whichever one gets there first is the winner. Bro, we sat there, we were watching the updates. Then I got another alert saying UPS was gonna be delivered Monday instead of Tuesday. And it was like, I think it was between like 1 and 4. And then USPS was like, oh, we're gonna get delivered sometime this day. Whenever we'll get it, then we. So I'm hitting you, man, and I'm just tracking this thing, and both boards showed up on the same day.
Wow.
And I'm just like, bro,
Wow.
you can't make this up, man.
Yeah,
You
nah.
can't make it up.
Cause look, you remember it was supposed to be Monday, but both of them ended up saying Tuesday. You remember
Exactly.
both of them switched at the last minute and had
Mm-hmm.
switched to Tuesday, and I was like, oh, this shit really wild. Then I hit you, I was like, oh yeah, they told me I need to come pick up my shit ASAP from the store.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I'm finna have all these motherfuckers in the
Yeah.
same day. That's wild.
Yeah. So then you had you had it, where you got your board and then all this stuff. And so my whole thing, man, is I don't like waiting to act if I can, right? But because we were dealing with an anomaly of uncertainty that, well, I didn't expect it to go this way, to be honest with you.
Oh no,
Had
me
I,
neither.
man, if I would have known USPS was this bad, like I've never had that type of experience. Never had that type of experience. If I would have known they were that bad, I would have never used them, like at all.
Yeah.
But you know, once we were sitting and waiting, I'm like, man, an entire week has already elapsed since I sent this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you still don't have it. I was like, that was the whole point of us working this out, was to get you aboard super quick. So I was like, you know what? We got to fix this somehow. And I get it, it's not on you, but it was within my power to do it. So I was like, well, let's do it. You know, and so, we sent it out. So now all you got to do, man, is you just got to continue to make that heat, because you blessed with 3 boards. So if you make anything whack, people gonna be on you. They're like, you got
Oh,
3 ASR 10s, and you doing that, bro. You can, you know what I'm saying? So it's a funny story. It's one we could laugh at, but I mean, we stayed cool with it the whole time.
yeah,
I think
nah.
me and you were just more frustrated with people's process, and just nobody knows anything. They
Yeah.
was like, I don't know.
Then when the chick was like, "Yeah, you got to put a claim on," I was like, "A claim?"
Yeah.
And then when you ask them, you like, "Is it lost?" They like, "I don't know." What the
We
hell
don't
you
know where
mean?
it's at.
I don't know.
Yeah. And like, you mean you don't know? Your whole job is to deliver and track package. What you mean you don't know where it's at?
Man,
So
that's
it was one of those things, man. Like, this is just so, it was just so strange. And me being, like I said, being a producer, being, in all these situations, I was just like, bro, I can't let him go out like that, man. Like, I just
yeah,
can't. So,
nah.
we had to get away. Actually, let me turn my do not disturb on. Hold on real quick.
You good? You good?
Come on.
What up, everybody in the live? I see y'all comments. I'm gonna get to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all tapping in. If y'all could do me one favor, y'all know I don't ask a lot, but if y'all could like the live video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be dope. And check out my man jham IG at Max Vibes.
Okay.
What's the IG again, Jay? Is Max
Yeah, yeah.
what? Tell
Max
me your
Vibe.
IG again.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, tell me your IG again.
Yeah. Hit me up at Max Vibes 4, MAXXVIBES 4. And if you
Yeah,
find me on YouTube, there's another Max Vibes. That's not me, man. Like, they make like crafts and stuff. I don't know who that is. That's not me. And it's crazy, man, because I looked at that Instagram like 2 months ago and they only had like 8 subscribers. Now they got like over like 200. I'm like, man, and these are the people that's supposed to be
It
subscribing to
might
me.
be you.
They over there, they're
Yeah,
probably,
yeah,
oh man, my
yeah,
business is
yeah.
taking off right now. They
Yeah.
probably, so
Yeah, nah, that's a fact. But yeah, man, y'all go subscribe to his YouTube and go spam that follow button on IG for me.
yeah,
For him.
yeah, appreciate you.
Hell
Yeah, so
no.
yeah, we got you, man. So now you got an ASR 10. Like I said, we'll work out logistics as far as getting everything where it needs to be. But you got
Mm-hmm.
the board, man. So now you can get back. I feel like I can help to make you whole and all that, you know, and get you right, man. So it's been a
Hey,
journey.
now you don't put the pressure. Now the pressure back on me. The pressure that went from the post office.
Yeah, man.
Eh,
It's like, bro, and it's like we're gonna be watching too, man, because now even your followers gonna be like, man, y'all went through all that to get you an ASR 10, and you ain't doing it, you
Oh
know.
nah. Hey man, like for real, I don't know what it was, but it was like and the crazy part about it is I still haven't like just took out like a couple days to say, fuck everybody, I'm just gonna stay at the spot, smoke, and just go through records and just like really like just dig into the machine. But I didn't do that, but I was still like every day putting like 4, 5 hours a day into the machine for probably like 3 weeks straight. So even though it wasn't like just sitting for a long period of time, I was still coming to work on it every day. And I just finally got like a groove with it. And then what really blew my mind was when I went to one of the biggest studios out here and I was playing the shit back in the Augsburgers. And I could really hear like, bro, this machine got like a tone to it. Like everything just sound warmer. It sound rounded. And then like the artist who I was selling music for, it was a good day for that. But he was just like, bro, yo, that shit sound different. You make grown man music. And like, bro, literally, all I had was I had all the drums. I literally got from the EA Ski cassette tape. And then just like this my bad, my
Are you
bad, my
good?
bad. But like the samples and the stuff I was putting in, and then like I had like Artura, so I was sampling sounds, like Moog sounds and stuff like that into it. But like the music was it was just sounding different. And
Yeah.
like I was like, I want that. That I want every time I go to the studio to play records for folks, I want that reaction or better, and I want my music to sound like that. Like that, I mean, it can get better than that, but like that's the floor. You know what
hmm
I'm saying? And it's like when that shit went down, I got back like on the 61 key or whatever. It's cool. Like the one thing I can't say about a car is with the newer shit, the workflow is way faster. Like making key groups and saving it and being able to recall it and all that. But where it loses everything is, but when you press play on that don't sound like that. Like everything sound flat now. Like when I was on it, I
Yeah,
really
you
wanted
did
to
say
throw
that
the
when I was
keyboard
talking
at the
to you.
wall. I told you I was like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bro, I can't do this shit with this keyboard. Like everything just sound like flat. And then the ASR with that boost button. That's when you really start like making
hmm
stuff come in, and then like even the way you sampling, like if you sampling in there hot, but you're not letting it distort, but you making sure it when it come in there, it's like, oh shit. Now
Yeah.
I really got something.
And that's the thing about this older gear, man. Like you have to understand how to make it, how to really maximize it, right? And basically
Mm-hmm.
said utilizing the boost, coming in your samples at a certain level are all of what are going to give you the magic of all these boards, man. So if you don't use them a certain way, you're not going to get a certain sound, man. So everything you just said is 100% accurate. And I know, there's the back and forth about, the old school versus the new school, analog versus
Mm.
digital, standalone versus in the box. There's all this stuff. At the end of the day, none of it matters if you don't know how to use it. It doesn't matter. Like you can give
Mm-hmm.
somebody ASR 10 and they just still are not very good at what they're doing. So it doesn't matter that they have one. They don't
Mm-hmm.
sample it right. They don't use it the way that you can really maximize it. Or you can have somebody that can sit on FL and then just make the greatest beats you ever heard because they
Yeah.
understand music, they understand sonics, they understand how to get to the end result. And so,
Mm-hmm.
how I look at this, man, this has always been my philosophy when it comes to gear. You use what makes you the most creative, right? When you're
Mm-hmm.
creating, because that's what you're doing. So if it's workflow that you need, that's cool. But what you
Mm-hmm.
can't do is you can't think that one thing is just like this other thing because somebody is just saying that it is, but you can hear that it's different, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you may not like the sound of the older gear. You just might
Mm-hmm.
not. And that that's
Mm-hmm.
that, that's cool, man. Like, but to say that the ASR X or the ASR 10 or the MPC 60 sounds like the MPC 1 or the Roland SP 404 or anything like that, that's not accurate at all.
No.
There is a sonic difference. Whether or not
Yeah.
you need to get that, whether or not you do that's up to you. Like, for example, I'll show you right now.
Here it come, ladies and gentlemen.
So this right here.
Here it come. Here it come. Here it comes.
So I just finished dropping these back in. So I don't know if y'all can see it.
Ooh. That's the Rupert Neves.
Yeah, yeah. Can y'all see those? Because I know these
Hell
cameras be
yeah.
acting a little weird.
Nah, it look good. I can see.
Yeah, can y'all see it in there? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. So, for example, something like this, and I mean, I gave you a quick little studio tour before, but
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still setting up, but something like that, right? It doesn't matter what you put into it. You're gonna be able to get it where it needs to
Mm-hmm.
be. So I could throw a SP404, I could throw a MPC1, I can throw any signal in there, and if I know what I'm doing, I'm gonna make it
Mm-hmm.
sound. That's what it is.
Yep.
But I look at each individual piece of gear like an ingredient, right? So you being from Georgia, from the South, you already know what good food tastes like. You
Mm-hmm.
already know.
Okay,
But the
look,
question,
can't you tell?
the question I ask people, man, is this right here. When it comes to, let's say, I don't know, your grandma, your granny, your auntie, whoever it may be, that person in your family that you just love their food for a certain reason, and their food always stays the same year after year, time after time. When you taste it, you know it's theirs. Somebody else can make that same dish, but it don't taste like how they do it. And if you
Mm-hmm.
ever watch their process, sometimes there's something specific that they do. Maybe there's a certain type of rice they use. Maybe there's a certain type of, instead of using tomato paste out of a can, they make their own. Whatever it may be, these little ingredients, these little
Say
things.
sauce.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that one thing on its own doesn't really make the dish. But if you take that one thing out, you're gonna be like, something tastes different.
Some missing.
Something
Yeah.
tastes right.
Yeah.
And it might not be that you don't like it. You may love it, but I like this way better. You're like, it's good, but I don't know. It's something's off. And somebody
Mm-hmm.
ever had the original dish, when they taste the new one, they be like, oh, this is good. I like it. You've never had the other thing for comparison, so I can't be upset that you like it, right? Because you've never had anything to compare it to. So when we're talking about using the ASR 10, that's just one ingredient in the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you swap that ASR 10 out and say you use the Key 61, right? I've seen you make heat on the Key 61, but that's not
Mm-hmm.
its final stages. You still
Mm-hmm.
mixing, you still gonna go through processing, all these other things. You gonna make it sound how it's supposed to sound.
Mm-hmm.
But in your heart, as you're making it, you're like, this ain't quite coming out the way I want. So I'm gonna have to do a little something. Just like if I'm in
Mm-hmm.
I don't have X ingredient, I don't have this, so I gotta use this, but I know I can do like this to kind of get it. That's what
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about. And so everybody gets so wrapped up in saying this is not good, that's not good, this is not good. At the end of the day, if you want a dish that tastes like this, you've got to use specific ingredients a specific way to get that
Mm-hmm.
outcome. If that's not what you're chasing, that's not what you after, and you cool with how it sounds,
Yeah.
do your thing.
Yeah. Hey, but you know what? You know what's crazy that you said that? Cause my man, he be in the beat reviews, architect. He from DC. He was down here for a
Yeah,
couple of days. And I was telling him, I was like, man, the 61 sound flat. But see, he went to SAE, he graduated as an engineer. So
yeah,
he
yeah,
know he know knobs and frequencies and gear. Like
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
y'all be talking Japanese, and I'll be looking at y'all like, bro, I'm still in the room. But
Yeah.
he said, he was like, man, he was like, I can make that 61 sound like your Ed. So he was like, just give me some 500 series. He was like, if I get some 500 series, he was like, because I know how to dial in certain frequencies and you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, and make stuff hit. He was like, it might not be there. He was like, but I can make it thump a lot harder
Yeah.
than what it is. And I tell folks that all the time. I was like, don't get it twisted. I got hella keyboards and hella shit, but it was like I just know what serves what purpose. Like I know if I want to do this, I know okay, I can pull my Phantom. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Or like if I want to do some real cool sim stuff, I can pull my Move. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like you just
Exactly.
know they just tools to us, but it's like at certain times you be like, bruh, I want this, like, cause like once I'm not a good drum programmer, but I can program decently if I got an MPC, cause
Yeah. Yeah.
I can feel it. So like literally, if I'm using a computer or something, I might do tracks and not even do drums. I'll be like, I need my MPC to do my drums, so I can feel it. But it's like just having that tool. You know what I'm saying? When I need it, and then it's like when you take it away, it's like,
You can still get the job done, but it's not the same, man. And it's
yeah.
just like, and if you've ever talked to anybody that works in construction or that works in crafts, like building things or making things, they'll tell you the same thing. Like a circular saw is one of those tools that's very versatile. You can use it for so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
This other thing, like maybe a table saw, or maybe a miter or something like that, will get the job done a lot faster, a lot more efficiently. But that
Mm-hmm.
circular saw, hey, I could use this in any situation. Not that I need to, but I could. But there's certain things in which it's going to excel and certain things in which it's not. And so for me, man, it was important that I understand that because I got into music and actually got into engineering and learned how to engineer my own stuff. Like I said, I got a formal education in it, but
Mm-hmm.
that didn't teach me everything I needed to know. It taught me the science behind a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But the art I actually learned being in the studio and watching other people do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, it did teach you a little bit of the art and stuff like that, but as a whole, it just taught me technicalities and kind of packaged it up and say, here's how all this is. And I
Mm-hmm.
got into it out of necessity, man. And when me and you were talking the other day, so hold on, we were talking the other day. You see this? Do you see what that
Yeah.
is?
It's a,
You know what that is?
it's a train.
That's that Triton.
Yeah.
The one we were talking about the other day, right?
Hey, wait a minute. I would pick my phone up, but this tripod I got from Amazon ain't shit. So if I pick it up, I probably ain't gonna be able to post it. But behind me on that shelf right there,
Yeah.
that's what my trite on my
Yeah, and, that,
triton
and
at.
that's what we were talking about the other day, the Triton, right? So I got into music, or excuse me, I got into the engineering side, and that really helped my production go through the roof because I
Mm-hmm.
started understanding what's happening on the other end. And this is what a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't realize. Like when you build your beat, right? And you make your track, you're used to hearing it in whatever medium you're in, whether it's your headphones, your room, your car. So you get used to how that sounds. And you have knowledge of it because you built it and you know how it sounds based off how it is. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
send it to the right engineer, they're going to do stuff and it's going to come back and you're not going to like it. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes if you can get the sound to get delivered to the engineer the way that you need it,
Mm-hmm.
that's less stuff they got to do or less things they got to alter to try to get it that
Mm-hmm.
way. Because sometimes you're not going to be in the room when they're mixing it down and you got to go through all
Mm-hmm.
these revisions. So the reason I bring that up is because I got into it by that. I was building tracks. My first MPC was the MPC 2000 and I
Mm-hmm.
bought that in summer of 99. I started DJing in 97. I bought the 2000 in 99.
Okay.
After the XL had dropped, the price that went down on him. My neighbor was doing studio stuff, so he gave it to me for a good price. I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
a keyboard at the time, so I was like, I
Mm.
got to get a keyboard, and I wanted to get this one, the Roland XP80. It's the
Okay,
XP80.
okay, okay,
I
okay.
wanted to get that, but that bad boy was expensive because it was still, it was the new hotness at the time.
How much it was back then in
Man, it was a
'99?
couple of G's back then when that thing dropped because they had the XP80 and the XP60, and
Mm-hmm.
then one of my boys was telling because I love Timberland growing up. I love Timberland,
Mm-hmm.
and Timberland had the game on lock. And so he was like, we were just talking. I was like, man, I really want to get that XP80, but I was like, man, I was just in high school. I didn't have the money for that. he was like, hey man,
Hey, I been there before.
yeah, so man,
Yeah.
he was like Timbaland uses one of the JV series, like the 1080.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you get a Roland XP50 that has a lot of the same sounds in the 1080, and you can just expand it and you can get a lot more sounds. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, an XP50. So I went and looked that up. And the XP50 had come out years before, and it had
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the same features. It didn't have a sampler or anything like that. It had a lot of the same features. It was just an older board. So I was like, well, cool. Let me jump on. This was when eBay was in its infancy stages, man.
Okay, okay,
It,
okay.
I remember I jumped on eBay and I bought it, and it got delivered. So now I got the XP50 and I got the MPC 2000.
You
So
working.
I was set. And when
You
we talk, man,
set.
bro, when I say Kanye had a line on one of his songs from College Dropout where he said, lock yourself in a room for 5 or doing 5 beats a day for 3 summers, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I say I locked myself in the room, brother, I went ghost. Mom, and I told you, my mom had to knock on the
Yeah.
door. And because I had my headphones on, so I couldn't hear anything. So she had to come in.
Mm-hmm.
You need to eat. And I'm not hungry right now. I gotta figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
And I would stay in my room. I would shower, brush my teeth, and eat, and that's it. And I would go to sleep, wake up, be back on it. And bro, I didn't leave my room or do anything productive other than make music that whole summer. Right. And my dad, he was like, man, you gotta cut that grass. I had all
Hey,
these chores I needed
I
to
told
do.
I told you what I used to do when I used to get home from school. I literally threw my book bag in the garage and I would
Yeah.
go straight to the basement. But I told you I just figured out how to take tests because when I was coming up in school, that's when the standardized test was big and like if you didn't pass these tests, you couldn't move on to the next grade. And then I was cool with chicks, so they had the homework lined up for me or what have you. And, bro, it was straight. It
Yeah.
was straight. The same here, bro.
Yeah.
I used to literally, it'd be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm making music, and then that's when YouTube would start bubbling.
Yeah.
So I literally would go from making beats and go on YouTube and watch like when Jermaine Dupri had Living the Life, or like
Yeah.
Fat Tracks, or like Booney Mayfield, or like MDL. B Cox was on YouTube. Took was on YouTube, and I would just find all them videos and watch them. Be like, damn. I
Yeah.
want that keyboard. I want
Yeah.
that
Hey.
keyboard. I
So
want that
so I,
keyboard.
I I did the same thing, but see again. So I was probably all close to like 7, 8 years before that, right? So
Hmm.
I didn't have YouTube, man. I like
Yeah.
Google thing. So what I had to do was I told you, man, I would drive up to the Guitar Center and just play with all the keyboards in there all the time. And I told Ski this story. It was funny one time. I told him the story that the Guitar Center that I was at, I would go
Hmm.
to, got to know all the people there. They used to put these little locks on the floppy drive, these little like contraptions that would lock the floppy drives to stop dudes from coming in there
So
and making beats all
making
day.
beats and saving them.
Yeah, because that's what they would do. They would just be in there all day just making beats.
Bro, I never thought about that because you know
Yeah,
their slogan is come in. What is it? Come in and play, or
yeah,
come
yeah.
in and let's play type shit. So,
Yeah, yeah. So
but
they were
I
all about
never
playing. They
thought
just didn't
about
want you
that.
saving the tracks and trying to take it somewhere else and do your thing. So they put it on. But I was cool with the main guy that ran Pro Audio. So
Yeah.
yep, man. And so I didn't like I said, I didn't have YouTube. So what I used to have to do was, bro, I literally had to buy VHS tapes. I had to buy VHS tapes to learn how to sample, to learn how to sequence. You got to keep in mind, man, this is 98, 99.
Yeah,
There
yeah, yeah.
was no other medium for me to
Mm-hmm.
get. Sample Kings was big at the time. So, you could get a couple of their DVDs, or their tapes, which I found out later. But how I learned to sample on the MPC was off of a VHS that I had found at some local music store that had nothing to do with the MPC. It was how to sample. He had like some old keyboard. I forget what it was. It was some old keyboard from the early 90s. And he was
Not
showing
the
how.
rolling. Was it the rolling joint?
Nah, it was something I hadn't heard of. Like I remember seeing it, like I don't even know what that is. But it had
Mm-hmm.
sampling. But what I took from it was the concept. Because
Mm-hmm.
truncating, start, stop, loop, all these things are universal. So
Mm-hmm.
I would watch the video and then I would find where that feature was on the MPC. So I had the VHS, man. I wore that sucker out, man.
Well, yeah.
So I would watch it and somebody was like, hey, man, Sample Kings has tapes that are specific to gear. But where I was at the time, there was no way to get that. So I
Mm-hmm.
remember I had to link up, with one of my cousins and we had to make a trip to New York to actually go find it because you're like, man, they have a lot of that stuff,
Dang.
and I think that's where they're from. So on a weekend, we went to New York, and I don't remember. I even remember how I did this, man. To be honest with you, now, like we didn't have GPS, we didn't have no. I think we printed out like uh,
How to
Google,
get there?
Google Maps. We printed out like a map or something how to get there, like street by street, turn by turn. I remember we had a big old
Was it
like
MapQuest? What was MapQuest out then?
MapQuest. Yeah, I think that's what
MapQuest.
it might have been MapQuest, something
Oh, I'm
like that.
showing my age now.
Yeah, it might have been something along those lines where you punch in a
Hey,
direct.
yes, Ron. Somebody just said MapQuest.
Yeah, it might have been that. Yeah, I think that's what it was. But remember, we used to have actual maps in the glove box, and so we plotted out
Mm-hmm.
everything, figured out where we were gonna go. How we got around back in day, bro, I don't know. But so to sum it up, so we went and did that, and that's when I got into it. And the reason I bring this up is because I had the XP50 in the the MPC, and I was making all my beats, but I didn't have a way to get them to transport. Because keep in mind, this is like '99. Computers were not equipped
Nope.
to handle this, and if they were, like the money you had to pay to get in it was crazy. And so, what I used to do is I used to record my beats to tape. So I had all my stuff going through a little mixer, and I would just two track it out to tape because
Mm.
I had my truck in high school, man. I had a cassette deck in there, I had a
Oh,
CD
you
player, but I
straight.
couldn't purchase the CD yet because
Mm-hmm.
CDs were still expensive. So tape was the most economical way. And
Mm-hmm.
because I DJ, I understood like levels and all that stuff. So I would mix all my stuff and I would record them to tape, and I would just drive around in my truck listening to tapes, just listening to my tape, put this tape in, and I was like, man, I gotta figure out a better way to do this because I gotta keep rewinding it, doing all this stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I went to a music store by my house, not the Guitar Center. It was just like some little mom and pop thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a place where I bought the sample VHS.
Okay, okay.
And I'm talking to the dude, and I'm telling him, what I'm trying to do. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm trying to figure out, do y'all have a device or something I could record to CD with? And he was like, oh, yeah, but it's like, like $1,100. And I was like, man, I ain't got that. And he was like, well, hey, how many beats you trying to record? I was like, man, I got a bunch, but I got like maybe like 8 or 9 of them I really want to put on a CD. He
Mm-hmm.
was like, all right, man. He's like, well, I got a studio. He's like, you come to my studio. He was like, I'll track them out and I'll put them on a CD for you. I was like, well, how much you gonna charge me for that? He was like, man, I only charge you $200. Now, keep in mind, man, this is 99.
That's
$200 is
love back then, man.
quite a bit of money, but
Yeah.
I was about it. So I was like, let's do
Mm-hmm.
it. He gave me his number and everything. I went over to his house. Dude had a garage. He had like a mixing board. He had all this stuff in there. So I was like, oh, this dude's legit. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, I don't ever try to judge a book by its cover, but there's some things culturally you have to understand. Some
Mm-hmm.
things culturally you just have to understand. He
Mm-hmm.
did not look like the type of guy that listens to the type of music that I make.
Mm-hmm.
However, that didn't stop me from working with him simply because I had been in studios before and engineers didn't look
Look like,
like
yeah.
I would think they would look. So it
Mm-hmm.
didn't dawn on me, right? So I bring it in, and I remember him hooking up my board and doing all this stuff and saying, all right, we're going to track them out. And we tracked them out 2 tracks at a time into the keyboard, from the keyboard into his computer on his little thing. And he was doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we were there for probably like 6 hours, like just doing everything. He was arranging everything. And finally, we were done. He gave me my CD. I was happy. I got all my
Mm-hmm.
gear, packed everything up, jumped in my truck, drove home, popped my CD in, and it sounded horrible, dog. Dog, you want to talk about you think about how you felt when you didn't have your ASR 10. I felt I
No.
10 times worse than that because my music sounded like crap, dog. It
Yeah.
wasn't mixed. It was all flat. Like nothing
Mm-hmm.
sounded how I was bringing it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because all he did was just dump the tracks, sequence them all in the order that they were, and print them CD. So all
Burn
the
the
mix
CD.
and all this, because he made me go turn all the levels to Unity Game and dumped
Mm-hmm.
it all out. And he did like a rough like mix, but it wasn't the mix I did. Now you got
Yeah,
to keep
yeah,
in
yeah.
mind, I'm driving around listening to my stuff, so I know it,
Yeah, 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 yeah. You know where everything at, the place
bro.
you done fell in love
It
with it.
don't
Yeah.
sound the same. And I'm like, I'm listening. Okay, maybe the next one will be better. And I'm just like, man, it got so bad. I'm not even kidding you. I threw that CD away when I got home. The $200 I spent, I got home and I threw that CD in the trash. I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah, that when you
And,
pissed when you had fuck it. You was at
and at
fuck it.
that moment is when I said, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to mix, dog.
Yeah.
Remember, because I remember calling him up the next day and being like, because it was late when I got home. I called him up the next day and I was like, hey man, this mix don't sound right. This. And he's like, oh well, to do all of this, then you got to book a session, and then we got to this, and then all that, and this, and that, and this, and that. And I'm like, I ain't doing all that, man. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So I learned how to, I made it a point, and that's when I transitioned from just being a person that just makes beats to I am on a journey to figure out the engineering side of this, because I want what I make in this board to sound exactly like it is when it goes out to the world. And I'm not
Mhm.
relying on some middleman to be like, oh, I'm going to dictate how it sounds. I want to be able to
Yeah.
give input. I want to be able to do all these things. So that's when I
Yeah.
started that journey.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason I brought this up is because this dropped. I think it was like 2000, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
And man, when I tell you, I've never been so obsessed with something in my life. I remember going into the Guitar Center and
Hmm.
seeing it, and I said, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh man, it's that new Triton." Da-da-da-da. All I saw was that big old blue screen
The
and that
touch screen joint.
chassis. Man, I looked at that price tag. I said, "Oh man."
What it was like 4 bands or five
Well, at
bands?
the time, I think they were like 36 something, somewhere
Yeah.
around the $3,000 mark.
Cause I'm gonna take it back even further. I used to get my mom when we used to go to the grocery store. You remember Scratch magazine
Yeah, yeah. Oh
when
yeah.
it
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to have
yeah.
the producers, and
Yeah.
at the time, bro, that keyboard, Swiss Beats was on that shit heavy.
Everybody.
Just Blaze, cause even Swiss did a video. It was a music video, and he had like the MP and the keyboard, and that was like one of the keyboards that he had. That was the keyboard he had in the video. But like when that keyboard came out, I remember because I probably was like 7 or 8 years old, but I had been buying scratch since I was like 6. That's
Hmm.
how
I
obsessed I
still got
was with this
where
shit.
I'll dig them out. I still got all the
Ah,
issues.
but because remember they used to do like the producer like profiles, and they would
Hmm.
have whoever it was, their name, where they from, and then
Yeah.
they show you like a list of their gear, like they would put what they using or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that keyboard when it came out, like everybody and their mama had that keyboard,
Yeah.
and I
And
was like,
that's the thing. That was like, it was a status symbol, right?
mm-hmm,
It was a status symbol to have that keyboard because one, it just looked futuristic. Now, a lot of people don't know the Korg Trinity came out right before that, and it had very
yeah,
similar features. It looked very similar. It didn't have
mm.
all the features like the touchscreen and all the same stuff that it has, but it was
But
very
that
similar.
same shell, that
Yeah,
same
yeah, that
color.
color scheme, the whole
Mm-hmm,
nine. But it really stepped it up. And when
mm-hmm.
that board came out, I hadn't seen the Trinity like that because at the Guitar Center they didn't have one, so I hadn't seen it. So the
Yeah,
first time
yeah.
that board, and I was like, what is that?" And I'm talking to this dude, he's like, "Bro, this is the Triton." He's telling me about it, and it's like, man, all of a sudden you just started seeing it everywhere. And Timberland was on it. The Neptunes exhausted the hell out of this thing.
But that
Oh,
that that keyboard literally was like, I don't think for us, it was like the fucking Rolls Royce
it was.
for music producers.
It,
Like,
you didn't even have to be good at music. You
no.
could just buy this and put it in your studio. People see that and be like, "Oh, he makes some heat."
And then I think that might have been even the first like the touch screen joint, bro. Like I
Yeah,
think
they were the
that
first
was
ones
like
to do that. Yeah,
the
they were the
first
first
one to
ones
do
to do
that
that.
touch screen shit. And that
Yeah,
bitch was big. It was like the shell that it's in. It was even huge. I was like,
yeah.
I,
It
I
was.
told my mama, I was like, I want that. She just looked at me like I was stupid. I was
Yeah,
like, well, I gotta ask. You know what I'm
you
saying?
got a shot, So so at the time, I was with this group in high school that they were rapping, and the whole reason I got into beats to begin with was I used to DJ. So I started
Yeah,
off
yeah,
on
you
the turntable,
told me.
right? I started off on the
Hmm.
turn. So my first turntables were I still got them were two Technics Tech 1200s. And then I got some Vestax and stuff like that later. So I was working a summer job and I was buying DJ gear and I was DJing gigs. That's how I was making money. So between that and like cutting grass, shoveling snow, like I was, man, anything I could do to make money, I was trying to do it. And then I was
Hmm.
old enough to actually get a job, and I got a
Hmm.
job. And so in between DJ gigs and making money, that's how I was able to save up and buy gear. So I'm like looking, I'm like, all right, how many shows or how many things parties I got a DJ to be able to get this? Okay, I gotta cut this grass at this rate. I'm like doing the math. I'm breaking it down. I had a plan. And I remember going up there and I used to have my parents drop me off because Hartson was about 2 hours away. I would have them
Hmm.
drop me off because we would go do family outings. We're like, we're gonna go shopping, we're gonna do all this stuff. And I'd be like, hey, can
Hmm.
y'all just drop me off at the Guitar Center? They're like, yeah, sure. and they would just come back out,
Same.
pick me up, bro. I would go in there. The first beat I tried to make was Busta Rhymes from the ELE album, the one that Swiss Beats did. Tear the roof off. Bloom, 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 bloom,
Yeah,
bloom,
yeah,
bloom.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
On the,
yeah.
it had the little pizzicatos going.
Uh-huh,
And then,
uh-huh.
and because I was just messing with the patches and I came across that sound, I was like, yo, so like, let me make this beat. And I recreated the whole beat in the
Mm-hmm.
store. Now, keep in mind, I'm learning how to sequence on this thing because it's got all these features, but I already know how to make beats. Now I
Mm-hmm.
just got to figure out my way around this thing,
Ran
right?
around it.
So I'm in there just going to work, man. And I would sit up there for hours and hours and hours just cranking out beats. And
Mm-hmm.
I got cool with everybody in Pro Audio because back then, man, the Guitar Center used to be the place to be, bro. Like back in the 90s and the 2000s, man, that was the place to be. All the gear was on, it worked. People were enthusiastic, they were knowledgeable. Like,
Man,
man,
yeah, yeah. That part right there, not that knowledgeable. Now you go in there, I be like, bro, they hide you. They hide, like it's crazy. That's a different breed enough.
yeah, yeah, and it's crazy. So like one of the guys that was there, he's the one who actually really helped me understand putting a studio together. Between him and I was telling Ski on a live one time, between him and Pro Sound and stage lighting is how I learned how all this works. So you were saying you used to read Scratch. This was before Scratch even came out. I would watch like MTV Cribs or whatever. And I think one time I want to say it was like Usher, I think.
Yeah, because that used to be L.A. Reid's old house, and
Yeah.
he had that studio in there.
Yeah, so I used to have a VHS at the ready
Mm-hmm.
in my thing, and whenever somebody would show us a studio, I'd record it, and I would go
Mm-hmm.
study what gear they had and try to figure it out. And I had my vision,
Mm-hmm.
and so for me, reading magazines and seeing all this stuff in Pro Sound and Stage Lighting, I used to circle what I wanted. I'd rip the page out and put it on my wall. I'm like, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that. But back in the day, though, to be honest with you, man, if you didn't live this, it's hard to understand. You had to have a lot of gear. Like you had to have 5 or 6 racks modules or 3 or 4 keyboards if you wanted to be serious because these sounds were so exhausted in these keyboards that to stand out, you had to mix and match certain things. Like the Yamaha motif may be good for maybe the strings, and maybe the Roland D50 was good for those glass pianos or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
that's how you crafted your sound because you were pulling from different stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
don't let anybody ask what you use on that because you ain't gonna tell them. It was like,
Yeah,
hey man,
not facts.
uh, like looking, bro. I saw this dude get beat down one time because he tried to peek over at the producer that was in there making a track at what his settings was being used. And this producer was a
Mm-hmm.
hothead, man. And this is when we were in the studio. And this was one of my first times being in there. And this is when I said, all right, you got to learn studio etiquette. This dude
Mm-hmm.
had none. Like he's in there like copying his stuff, and back then like biting sounds, it was like it was no good, man. So
Nah,
that,
nah.
they caught that dude like a couple days later, and they just started going to town on him, and I was like, oh, that's a big no,
Dang.
that's a big no no. But the thing is,
Yeah.
like these boards, man, to get different sounds, you had to have them. Like it
Yeah.
was to compete, you had to. Like
Yeah.
yeah, you have your one board, but you were going to be very, very, very limited in what you could do because very
Mm-hmm.
few boards could do everything well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So um that's how I fell in love with the standalone and the analog and the hardware because that's what I grew up on. That's what I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
VSTs in the box, all that stuff is great for convenience. And some of it sounds really, really good. And that's what you're rocking with. Rock with it, man. Use anything you can to make music dope.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that my plug-in from my Roland XP80 doesn't
Mm-hmm.
sound the same as my XP80. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Or my XB5080 sound module. The hardware sounds different than the plugin. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crapping on the plugin at all. I think they sound great.
Mm-hmm.
But all in the box, like when you listen to this stuff over and over and over, you hear a difference. And some
Yeah.
people, difference isn't enough to justify spending the extra money or having the extra space. And I get that. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
they sound different, but the difference isn't enough for me to say, nah, I'm gonna keep this. And I'm cool with that. I'm
Yeah.
good with that. But my hardware, bro, like
Yeah.
all day,
Yeah.
man.
Nah. and see, like I be saying, like I guess, like I'm an anomaly if you would say that, because like I'll be 31 next month, but I've been around this shit since I was probably like 8 or 9, because I got a sister that's 10 years older than me, and she used to sing. And my mom, my parents, my mom, my dad, my grandma, they were the type of people, like, if you want to do something, they gonna push you towards what you want to do. Like, they always believed in, like, feeding into your dream, no matter how old you was, whatever age. And then too, they always wanted you to do extracurricular activities, especially if you did decent in school. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
were green as fuck. Like, we ain't give my parents no type of hell. You know what I'm saying? Make honor roll and shit in school. So whatever you want to do leisure, they like, oh, that's my reward for you, because their whole thing was, you do good in school, that's your job. So I
Yeah.
gotta pay you for it, type
Yeah.
shit. And my sister wanted to sing, and my mom, when she was 16, 17, 18, she was actually paying for her to go to a real professional studio, like
Oh
in
yeah.
the city. And
Yeah.
I seen the cat. The studio she goes to had an SSL console, a MP60, like rolling modules, and I just sat there in the back on the sofa, and I seen them like make a track on that shit, and I'm like, this back when the remember the water drop sound was like one of the big samplers on the MP or
Yeah.
whatever, and like the little
That.
triangle and the
Yeah.
vibraphone, like that sample pack of sounds. You know what I'm saying? Then, and like, I seen bro make a ballad, and I almost lost my shit. Like, I started asking them questions like, so what is overdub? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is soft key? All the functions that's on the MP. I'm like, what's this RE? What's rec? Is that record? You know what I'm saying? And he was, giving me game or whatever. And
Yeah.
then from that, like, you like hanging out at the guitar center all the time. Because my mom and them, they used to mom went faithfully shopping every fucking weekend. And if you in Atlanta, Cumberland Mall is like right here, and the guitar center is like right here. And it used to be a Sam Ash, but they just closed
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they was on both ends of the mall, and I was always responsible. And even at like 9 or 10 years old, my mom would let me go to the store, because I have a cell phone. So if something happened, I could call her or what have you. And like you, bro, just in there 4 and 5 hours playing on everything. And I be telling them on the line, the Guitar Center back then is not this Guitar
No.
Center that they
No. 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 Very
that
different.
they got now. Like, man, if somebody was to ever rob them Guitar Centers back in the day, they would be sick, because that's
Mm-hmm.
when they used to have $4,000-$5,000 keyboards, MPCs everywhere. They have an 88 key, a
Mm-hmm.
77 key, a
And it all
61.
worked and it was hooked up.
Huh?
I said, and it all worked and it was hooked up.
Oh yeah, yeah. All of everything had speakers routed to it. Like, they even had a room out here, like, where it was like hardwood floors, and they actually had like a studio set up, because they had to sell their gear or what
Exactly.
have you. So they had it like on display or whatever. And like, man, if you weren't rich or you weren't selling dope, you couldn't afford to buy nothing out of there. Cause like, to like fully like be able to make music, oh, you had to drop a 10 or a 20.
Yeah. You had to.
Cause, because you needed a drum machine, a keyboard, maybe some modules, a mixer, cables,
Speakers.
speakers, and you got a computer. Because back then when I was going, that's when like the Digio ones was coming out,
Yeah.
002s,
Oh,
the
hold
blue.
on. I'm not
Oh
listening to
no.
I'm
Here goes
listening.
Jay Leno. Here
I'm
you
listening.
go. Rainmaker. Back in the day, guitar centers. Yeah, man, they were Rainmaker. They were real, they were real knowledgeable.
That's this bad boy right here.
The U command.
No,
See?
this is the Digio 2.
Oh, that's not the U command. You're right, you're right, you're
Yeah.
right. That's the one with the faders.
Yeah, this Pro Tools.
Yeah. You know what I was talking about? You remember the 002 rat?
Yeah, yeah. So
The-
that's this is the mixer version of that.
Yep, yep.
And I bought that. Yeah, so yeah, brother. I know, man, and that's the crazy thing about it all, man, is that you don't, like I said, you don't need all these things to make music now. Like, you don't.
Mm-mm.
But back in the day, you had to have a lot of this stuff to make music that sounds good, because although that was cutting edge back in the day, it don't really sound that great because I remember they had that, and the budget one was Inbox. Like the
The
budget one was like that little blue
blue
box.
one?
You could run Pro Tools because back then trying to get in Pro Tools, man, that was money.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Money.
You because you remember, look, you couldn't even turn Pro Tools on if the box one
Was connected.
wasn't
Exactly.
connected
Exactly.
or what have you. Like that shit would not come on. And then you remember if for the budget one was if you had an M audio interface. Remember they had Pro Tools M Power. Well, you had
Empowered.
like an M box. I mean not an M
Hmm.
box, but an M audio interface or whatever.
Yeah, it
It would
was. Yeah.
come. It would come on or what have you. Now
Hmm.
Pro Tools wasn't playing no games back then.
Yeah, yeah, no, they wasn't. And
Yeah.
again, them being the industry standard, like you had Pro Tools, you had Pro Tools HD. And back in that time when I went to school, that's what everybody was getting certified on, was on
Mm-hmm.
because it was the industry standard, because it was so stable and so great during that time. And I was one of the early adopters of Logic when it was still eMagic. And remember, we were talking the other day about Logic, and they used to come with these CDs. So you'd buy the bundle, and they have all these CDs. You have
Wow.
to
Yep.
load one by one, load them up. And I remember messing with Logic, and I was like, man, this is dope. But back then, you couldn't say, "Oh, I'm using Logic,"
Oh
because you
no,
you won't get clown. Like you couldn't.
man.
Oh,
It. I was just finna say what's crazy was because I hopped on Logic and but I told you Logic is the reason why I'm not even light skinned no more. Because I told you, Logic is the reason I ain't light skinned. I
yo,
worked the whole summer outside in the Georgia 100-degree heat cutting grass to be able to get $1,000 together to buy Logic or what have you. And I thought I was gonna be able to. I thought it was dirt, and then I thought it was a tan, and then it was like, nah, nigga,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you done lost that. You done lost that light skin.
yeah.
That's a wrap
And he
or
said,
what
"Welcome
have
to
you. But
the dark side."
man, but I remember because when I got my Logic Pro, it was like Logic 6, and it was gray. And you remember the MIDI data when you played it was pink
Mm-hmm.
or what have you. But
Yeah.
man, it probably took me, man, probably like 2 or 3 days to get it all like loaded because you had all them discs.
Yeah, and you had to pop them in one by one, and it had to and if your computer specs weren't where they needed to be, it was going to be a minute.
I had to look, I had to go up because I was trying to put that shit on a MacBook. I had to go upgrade my RAM because I think back then it was a lot, but you had to be like 2 gigabytes of RAM
Beast.
or something like that. And I only had like the 2512 megs on things. So I had to update that. But back then, you could put it in yourself because all you had to do is pop up in the keyboard,
Yeah, yeah,
pop up
yeah,
the keyboard.
yeah, yeah,
It's right there, little screw,
yeah.
screw,
No, it was
pop,
easy.
pop,
It was
pop.
easy to update that stuff. Yeah, and
But
what's crazy about that too is that I was also one of the earlier adopters of FL Studio back when it was Fruity Loops. So I
mm,
had, when they first dropped in the 90s, late in the 90s going into the 2000s, they had maybe one or two versions already out.
mm,
But I remember buying one, but I never bought it as like a serious thing. So I the music store that I went to that was close to my house, after that dude tracked all my stuff, I was like, I ain't never going back here again. I was like, man, I never went back to that music store. To this day, I haven't been back to that music store. And it's still standing too. But so
damn.
I remember I remember going up to the Guitar Center, and one of my dudes that used to help me out, he was getting ready to graduate from college, and he was telling me, he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm not gonna be working here anymore when I'm done. I'm gonna move on and go do some other stuff." And we were just talking about stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, computers are getting way better and stuff like that." He's like, "There's this program out called FL Studio, or no, it's called
Mhm,
Fruity Loops." And I was
mhm.
like, "Fruity Loops? What the hell is Fruity Loops?" I started laughing, and he was like, "Nah, it's this program." He was just telling me about it. Like he wasn't
Mhm,
like, "Oh, this is dope, you should get it." And he was just describing. So I was like, "Man, that sounds interesting." Because
mhm,
again, I hadn't made beats on a computer. I hadn't done that yet.
mhm,
So I bought the version of it, and they had like different tiers you could buy, like they kind of do now. And I think I bought the
mhm.
tier that was like $99 or something like that. I can't remember. But I bought it. And back in the day, we used to have a old school gateway computer back in the day, man. And,
Oh.
and I didn't know much about computers until I got into high school, and I learned how to repair them. And then I had a buddy that built them, and he taught me a lot of stuff. So my
Mhm,
computer wasn't at the specs to run it. I needed a CDRW drive. I needed all these other things to make it really optimized. I didn't have any of that. So I was like, I'm just gonna
Hmm.
make it do what it does. So I was able to run it because it used the system minimum and it worked.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
popping FL or Fruity Loops in there. And back then, I didn't have a way to plug in MIDI. And I don't even think it read MIDI back in the day. I don't even know if it did, but it was all step sequencing
Yeah,
back in.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so you would just click on the little grids and do your thing. And like you couldn't record and you couldn't really do anything with it. And I
Hmm.
just remember making these cheesy beats on it. And it was too gimmicky for me. And I
Hmm.
they really dropped the ball early on is by calling it Fruity Loops.
Hmm.
Like, because no producer, nobody took you seriously if you said that. Just like if you were like, oh, it was almost people thought it was cool to be like, I'm using this different, DAW. But
Hmm.
real professionals, if you weren't using Pro Tools, they weren't trying to hear it. They're like, oh, I use Acid, or I use Cakewalk, or I use
Well,
Sony, or I use, I think the only acceptable one at the time was maybe Cubase at that
yeah.
time.
And
Um,
is it? If I'm not mistaken, did Cubase like invent VST or some shit like that?
so they
Oh,
they they were so Cubase was instrumental in the VST technology early in the day for
okay.
what we know as VSTs. They were instrumental in that.
Hmm.
And what's crazy, man, is you know I got spun up on how to use Pro Tools. Back then, we could still do it. You used to be able to get Pro Tools certification. It had different levels to get Pro
Hmm.
Tools because it was that confusing and nobody really knew how to use it. So that was a big selling point for studios. Like we got we got Pro Tools certified engineers.
Right. Yeah.
It was a big thing, right, man? So when I got on Logic, I remember telling my boy, I was like, "Yo, I'm using Logic. Yo, this shit's dope." He was like, He almost hit me with the Soldier Boy Drake. He was like, Logic. I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "This is dope, bro." He was like, "Nah, man, nah, ain't nobody, nah, nah." But then Logic started carving out its lane, man, and they were doing well after they started getting some notoriety, variety and stuff like this.
W-
Um, they
when
started,
they did what it was, when they changed their look, what it was, Logic 8, when
yeah,
it
yeah,
went away from like that dullish look to that more bright look. Because I don't know if you remember, but go back in your brain. You remember Pro Tools used to have that ugly look too.
that ugly
But
interface.
Logic changed they look first.
Yeah,
Then when Pro Tools 8 came around,
yeah,
they got bright or what have you. Like
yeah,
it was like they kind of mimic off of them, but like once Logic got around the 8, that's when more folks started like really. And
yeah.
then that loop, that Apple loop library,
Oh yeah,
it started getting crazy. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Because you
Mhm.
had that Usher Love in his club that Polo the Don did.
Man,
Them all.
Polo is the one that made me get my Open Labs Nico.
Hey,
Him
when
and him,
that keyboard
him,
came out, I was like,
yeah, him, Timberland, Lil Jon.
yeah, yeah. Happy Perez did one of these dudes,
Yeah,
Maestro and Fizzy, or what
yeah,
have you.
yeah. Because
I
they
was
used to,
like,
Disco and Pizzy used to use the Motif ES, and then
mm.
switched and got the Open Labs. And this was all back in early YouTube days. But
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah. This like
yeah,
oh 04?
no, no, no. This was like oh 07, oh 06, oh
Oh
07, 08.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Around
yeah.
that.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it was probably like Open Labs was probably closer to like 2008 time frame. Um, but yeah, Polo, man, that dude, like, man,
he
Atlanta's
was
got
killing it.
some of the dopest producers I've ever heard or seen in my life, man. And Polo was one of those dudes. I was just like, man,
He
like
was
this
killing it.
dude's drums and his melodies and just like his simplicity. And I was like, man, this dude is dope, man. And so, like, Open Labs was dope. And like I said, I got the Nico and the Miko. And I think what was cool about it is they can do a lot, but they were too far ahead of their time. I think they were
Mm-hmm.
too far ahead of their time and they were too expensive to really
Cause it
crack.
was what, like 6, 7 bands.
Bro, just to get in, you could easily spend 10 if you had all the upgrades.
Yeah,
And the thing is, there was really no place to see it. Like you
yeah.
couldn't walk to just any store and be like, oh, here it is, let me demo it.
Because what was crazy was not the Guitar Center. Sam Ash had one,
Mm-hmm.
but they only had it because I was, from going to start town. You become cool with the managers and stuff in there, so they'll give you game and shit. Bro, they only had it in their store for like 2 weeks, two
It
or
was
3 weeks, because the manager was like, we ain't never gonna sell this one piece like this or whatever. Because, like you say, around that time, 07, 08, I'm like in ninth grade. So now computers are starting to, you know what I'm saying, do
Mhm.
this. And you still had hardware, but you kind of start seeing the shift of what's going on. But it didn't last now. But like you say, and what's crazy is if you look at the Akai, the 61 or the 37, what is that? Doesn't that look similar to your open lab joint?
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, it's like they
And so
kind of.
I did a video. I'm gonna put it out later.
Mm-hmm,
And it's basically kind of showing that DNA. And like that's why I
mm-hmm,
say they were far ahead of their time because it's a Windows-based platform and it's based off of Windows 98. And
mm-hmm.
it is the platforms themselves were decent. The problem with open labs is like I said, they were so expensive that your average people couldn't get into it.
No.
Not like now where pretty much anybody can get into an NPC, right?
Mm-hmm,
Or anybody can get into a Phantom. They were not very good at that. So
mm-hmm.
one of the things that was interesting about Open Labs was that they had a lot of proprietary software.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff didn't work without that software running. So once they kind of went out of business, or you were trying to get tech support, you had a lot of issues trying to do that. So
Mm-hmm,
what most people figured out, they were basically like, yo, let's just look at the specs because all it is just a computer inside of a chassis with an audio interface built in. That's all it is.
mm-hmm,
So they were like, well, let me put this same rig together, but more powerful specs for like
mm-hmm,
half the price. And
mm-hmm.
that's why I think, and the thing is, it's heavy, man. They were like, oh, it's portable. You ain't, man, you're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
taking
Because remember what is it? The small, is that the Nico?
the small ones, the Miko.
Miko. Because that's like around 37 keys too or something, man. It like
Yeah, that one's got a 37 key bed. Yeah.
it's just so crazy because it's like when you look at them and then you look at that, it's like
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
your granddaddy yet.
Because the
He,
Nico 61. So yeah, that's what it is.
yeah,
Again, man, like I think it was a great idea and I think it was brilliant, but I think it was far ahead of its time. And I think that
yeah.
it could do so much that your average person wasn't going to be able to figure it out because they didn't have all the knowledge and the stuff that we have now to learn how to do. Is even now, if you walk in and try to figure out how to make beats, you got to sit down for about a good week and go through YouTube religiously just to understand what's happening. Back
Mm-hmm.
then, we didn't have all these resources, so to even try to get and use that would have been crazy.
Yeah,
And so it was very difficult for people to gravitate to it, and the price point was just ridiculous.
yeah.
Like it was crazy. And so, a lot of the times too, when people say analog, they're really talking about hardware or they're
Mm-hmm.
talking about standalone. Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of these machines that we've been talking about, a lot of this stuff, they're really digital machines.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like they're digital. Like very few analog pieces are really doing a lot. Like you got Moog, you got, some
But
stuff
they
like that.
but didn't move sell to in music
Yeah.
and and a Kai is with in music. What is it? It's a Kai, Move, Alesis. Who is it? It's a Kai, Move,
Yeah.
Alesis.
So they ended up getting bought out by In Music. And so, you know, a lot of people are nervous about where that's gonna go. But
Mm-hmm.
talking about like the analog pieces, there's very few, you're mostly talking about synthesizers really at that point. Because
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about, sound design, we're talking about, sine waves and shaping and oscillators and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff, and the true analog signal. That's what we.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when people refer to the differences of what we're saying, they're really talking about the difference between hardware and software. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
because very, very few times when people are talking analog, are they talking actual analog hardware. What they're talking
Mm-hmm.
about, or they're talking about the hardware that's using the analog outs to go back
Mm-hmm.
to digital. Um, but even with that though, the conversion is what we're really talking about.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah, yeah.
A, that's really where the magic is, and that's when I think when people are trying to say analog, that's what they mean because it
Mm-hmm.
is an analog signal when it's coming out that
Coming out.
gets turned back into a digital signal. So it is, in
Mhm.
theory, it is analog, but coming in or being generated, it's all digital. And so with that, understanding open labs and what they were doing, everything was all encompassed, but you really had to know how to produce to use it. Like the beginner wasn't picking it up because they had their own proprietary software and then
Mhm.
program that some people use, which I think is dope, by the way. It's called Reaper.
Reaper.
Right? Reaper is dope, man. For the money you pay and what you get, Reaper is dope, man.
Mhm.
I think it's like you can get it for free. And then they'll say, hey, like, if you like it, you want to get like this, drop us some money, get $60. I think it's like 50, $60. And
Mhm.
but it's got Reaper, it's got this thing called Mimic. It's got this
Uh,
thing Mimic.
where you can mimic the sound, where you can mimic the sounds, right? Because I remember, because one of the videos, one of the marketing videos, I don't forgot who it was, but they was a touring musician, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I mess with them." Great conversations, fella. I appreciate you having an early start tomorrow. God bless y'all. Be safe out there. Bless. Appreciate that, Rainmaker.
Hey,
Appreciate
appreciate you,
that.
brother.
But he was saying that he was cloning all his keyboards because he was saying now I ain't got to take all the boards or what
Hmm.
have you. I can just have everything in this one unit or what
Yeah,
have you and move around. Because he even showed like mimicked the keyboards there, and I was like,
yeah.
oh,
That was a dope
shit.
piece of software, man. I mean, I think it was good to, get ideas and stuff like that because it did capture a lot of the nuances. But even still, it was running off a PreSonus audio box. So your
That was a
conversion
PreSonus interface in there.
Mhm. So your conversion was only
Damn.
good as the PreSonus, and so if
Mm-hmm.
you have high end gear, and you're running through that, it's gonna color the sound.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like it or not, it's up to you. Whether you like
Mm-hmm.
it, but it's gonna color that sound. And it's not the highest end interface. At the time, it was really good for what it was, but it
Yeah.
wasn't the highest end interface. But I think that's where
Gotcha.
it had a lot of issues. And so with me, man, uh, getting into hardware, like I said, I took electronics and electricity in high school, and I started building computers and messing around. So I understood circuitry, I understood all this stuff, and so
Mm-hmm.
how I'm able to do what I do and why I have so much gear. One, I love gear, but two, I've always kind of served as like a broker for people. Like people that I know that are in my circle that I'm connected with, they want something that's hard to find, or they want something that they have, but they don't have anywhere to repair it, or they're trying to get it fixed. I have a network of people that's like either
Mm-hmm.
I can fix it or I can get it to the person that can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But I started doing this stuff, man, just because my XL or my 2000, before I got the XL, my 2000, man, the tax switches would go out and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta fix this. And I opened it up and I wasn't scared of it. I was like, okay, this looks like this is a basic through hole soldering. I was like, okay, let me see. Let me see if I can find the things. And I figured it out. And where you really get hit, this is where you really get hit. People don't know this.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really getting hit for the parts. The parts are one thing, it's the labor.
I look. I told you that. I
Yeah, the
told
bench.
you that
Don't
when
get,
I seen that invoice, bro charged me all this for labor and the parts was $2. I was like,
it's just like a mechanic, bro. It's just like a
yeah,
mechanic. And the thing is,
yeah,
as gear gets older and older, you have less and less people that understand how to work them and how to
that's
work on,
true.
or that are willing to work on them because of how difficult they are. And if they break something, they sometimes can't repair what they break. So it's like, man, they'll brick your board. So it's
Mm-hmm.
one of those things, man. I'm very cautious when I go into things. There's certain things that I'm like, I could do that no problem. And there's certain things they're like, man, I might be able to, I might not, but that's out of my scope because I don't have that equipment to do that,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't have the expertise to that level to do it, but I do know who can. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff that I do. Like I customize gear. I basically,
Oh, yeah, I seen that Louis Vuitton MPC.
yeah. Oh, you,
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it.
this
He
bad boy
has a
right
Louis
here.
Vuitton MPC. Here you go.
This one right here.
This guy.
Yeah, that bad boy right there.
That guy. That
Yeah.
guy. Told y'all this is the Jay Leno of music equipment. How Jay Leno got the hanger full of
Yeah.
cars. He
Yeah.
got a
So,
hanger full of gear, man.
it's with that. It's the thing, man, is like, I love gear so much and I'm a producer. And
He
I
said
would
that
tell,
Korg M1 in the back.
Oh yeah, you talking about that? I just restored that too. So I have two of them. One of them I got a long time ago. I've had it for years because Teddy Riley used to use it, and I was like, man,
Yeah,
I got
yeah, 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 yeah.
that one was the thing in the '80s and the '90s, bro. And so I ended up getting another one from this guy not too long ago, um, and it was like beat up, man. Like the
Mhm.
key bed didn't work. Like there's keys that were stuck. It couldn't get past the initial patch. So you know when you load up a keyboard, it's got your initial patch that comes. It's usually probably a piano.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This,
The standard patch when they
yeah, it
load
was
up.
just
Yeah.
stuck on the piano. So when I would go through the patches would change, but it'd still be the same piano. And I was like, bro, this thing like it doesn't work. And so I was able to negotiate a good price on it. It was filthy, it was dirty, the keys weren't working, the outputs were busted. And I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, I can fix all this. Like I've got either the parts or I know how to fix it. Now, the great thing about it is the key bed was completely shot. Some of the keys didn't work. But what I know is that key bed is the same key bed that's used in like the Yamaha DX7, like the Corgo 1. So it's a key bed that was used in a lot of other pieces of gear. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I had a broken Yamaha DX7 that I just cannibalized for parts. That I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, this is the same key bed. So boom, got that up. I broke it down, stripped it down, cleaned out everything, changed the contacts, solid, cleaned it up, and it's like a brand new board. So the board that you got, that ASR 10 that you got,
Mm-hmm.
both of them the ones that you got, but the one that you have, when you open it and you look
uh,
at that board, it looks brand new.
uh,
And the reason it looks brand new is because I've had it for years. I've taken great care of it. But over
uh,
the years, I've constantly gone in and done regular maintenance, clean it up, and make sure it's good. Because again, when you receive it, I don't want you to receive something and you look at it like, man, I don't want to work on this.
man,
I don't do this.
man,
You
that
know,
thing when I
so
opened that box, it looked like a brand new keyboard.
yeah. And that just comes from again me understanding how to take care of certain things and how to acquire certain things and how to get things back up and running. And so that's been a bulk of what I do in my spare time. Like I'm not a business at all. Like I'm not like an open shop where you come in and be like, oh man, here's a keyboard. Like there's people that do that and that's great at what they do. Mine just
Mm-hmm.
comes from a passion of knowing gear, understanding,
Mm-hmm.
fixing my own stuff for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can guarantee you, man, with all the stuff I got, if this stuff starts breaking, that bench time is gonna crush me. And a
Yeah,
lot of times I purchase gear because I know something's gonna break down at some point and I'm going to need to pull this piece or pull that piece or whatever it is. And that's how I was able to help you, man, because of
yeah,
that. And you know, just helping out people that are in my circle and people that I'm connected with, man, is what is big on. But music is what I do first and foremost when it
yeah,
comes to this. This is just something I just happen to I just do, man.
man, yeah. Oh, that's hard. That's hard. That's hard. That's hard. That's hard. But you know what I was thinking about too though when you was talking about that open labs joint. Not to go back to that,
Yeah.
but you know who I feel that if they could make that and they if they made that shit and it sonically sounded good, they would probably shut shit down.
Who's that?
Apple, because
Oh
they
yeah.
already got Logic.
Yeah. So 100%. So there was actually a guy, I remember reading an article about it online that did that. He converted his Open Labs from Windows based to Mac based, and he had
Mm-hmm.
Logic. And obviously, he was very, very good at tech because he understood how to get around certain things. Because again, the proprietary gear, and
Mm-hmm.
he had all kinds of stuff going on, but he had it running. But no, if they were to do that and they were to make it lighter, bro, hands
Mm-hmm.
down. Like for example, the Key 61's not that heavy,
No, no,
right?
it's not.
The the Open Labs is probably like 60 pounds. That sucker is heavy. The Nico, that thing is heavy. So what was great about it is again, it's all encompassing, but nobody was carrying that around. It's super big, it's super bulky. If they were to like slim it down, make it a little bit lighter, but have some strong sound to it, and then
Mm-hmm.
integrate it into Logic with the Mac Bait Man, they would shut it down. Like, bro, and even if they laid it out just like the Open Labs, because the one I have, I upgraded the pads. So it used to have the keyboard attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
I took the keyboard out and upgraded it to the NPC style pads.
Mm-hmm.
NPC style pads, and I got the mixer because I don't need the keyboard. And
Mm-hmm.
so if they were to make that same layout and then just have it run Mac with their M2 software and all, bro,
Mm-hmm. And then it's the other kill, because they fucking make computers. They can even say, hey, you can load up your third party plugins or whatever
Yep.
you want into this shit, because they're a computer company. They gonna win.
Yeah,
They
that's what
winning. You know what I'm saying? They winning
they
regardless.
already doing it. You know what I'm saying? So man, that would be a smash out of the park because I think that would solve a lot of people's issues because most people that get a computer they go buy an interface and they go buy a little MIDI keyboard and then they got their laptop. But what if it
Hmm.
was all encompassing to where you do that? The only problem I think they would probably run into though is the price point, right? Because if I got my MacBook I can use my MacBook for other things because it's light. I can carry it. I can go here, 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 here. I'm not going to carry this giant computer and be sitting at the bus stop doing homework. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people use one laptop for stuff. So I think the price point would have to be justified enough to say I'm cool with spending that for music. Because a lot of people, if you're really invested, you'll buy a computer specifically for music. There are some
Yeah.
people that they're just using the computer that they have that they use for other things and they just happen to do music on it. So that's why I think the price point, like I think people that are professional and really looking to get into it, it would definitely take off. But for the
But
average consumer that has GarageBand or whatever on their computer, I don't think
yeah.
that they would gravitate to that. But I think if they have the price point good enough, I think it could work, man.
But you remember, like I told you on the phone, I think now, well, hell, not even just that, but any of these music companies, I think price point scares the hell out of all of them. Because, like you had said earlier, ain't no more of us, like we conditioned, sadly but truly, we conditioned to seeing a $4,000-$5,000 price tag for a keyboard and be like, okay, my old lady or whoever probably gonna kill me, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'ma just say it's an investment. I,
It is.
I at least even if all hell break loose, I'll make this money back by the end of the year. I'm gonna get my money back,
Yeah.
type situation. You know what I'm saying? If you doing what you're doing, but like for people that's which who a lot of these companies market to, after $1,000, it's like Chinese to them, because they not used to seeing $4,000-$5,000. And then too, let's just keep it a buck. A lot of folks come from the computers, so they used to pirating. They used to download shit. They used to getting programs and shit for free. So to actually be like, nah, this keyboard $3,000, they're gonna be like, hell no.
Uh-huh.
They gonna
Yeah.
be like, hell no. And it's not too many of us that's be like, okay, boom, boom, boom. Cause look at the 61. When the 61 first came out, it was $2,000. That shit wasn't doing well. They dropped that motherfucker to 1,400. And then if you really think about it, I think the reason why they dropped that, I think the reason why they made the 37, it wasn't because of portability. It was a decent price point, $900. Just give me $900. But what they did was they just took all the plugins out. Because you don't get on that 37, you ain't got all the plugins that's on the 61. So if you want to bump up, give us some more money, which is about the equivalent to what the 61 costs when you get all the plugins, and then that'll separate who's serious and who not serious
Yeah.
in
And
in their eyes.
I think from a business standpoint, right? Um, you know, there's all this debate about, Akai and what they have going on, what they're doing, not doing with sound and all these different things. And I think these are all valid arguments, right? To the people that are invested. The majority of people don't know when they jump into gear because they're just happy to make beats, so they're not too much worried about that. Or they're coming from a computer and this is maybe a step up at some point. Um, I think when you start having price points, I think an important thing to keep in mind is if I make something at this tier, who's gonna buy it,
Mhm.
right? And so I think having options to upgrade is really the end all be all, and that's the best way to do it. Because let's say I buy the Key 37 or I buy the Key 61, right? Or even the MPC X, right? If
Mhm.
I buy that and it's at its base price, it costs this. And I say, well, you know what, man, I really want to upgrade this, and this. It's going to cost me 5 stacks. If I'm serious about my music and I want the extra stuff, then I'm going to do it. They did it with the 2000 and the 2000 XL. If you wanted the 8 outs, you had to upgrade. If you wanted the effects board, you had to upgrade, right? They did
Mhm.
that as an option. So getting in was super cheap or cheaper And if you want it
Mm-hmm.
all maxed out, you can add on all these things. I think the only way companies can win is to look at their market as a whole. Because to us, we're saying this, but we're a
Mm-hmm.
very small part of their larger market.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
for them to pivot and cater to us specifically, from a business standpoint, if the data doesn't say that's what you need to do, then it doesn't make sense. However, if you want to be a company that is going to be well respected in all arenas, you got to look at how you can give people what they want. But here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, too, it doesn't matter what some of these companies do, people are always going to find fault in it.
That's true.
Even if they brought out the greatest keyboard in the world and they were like, yo, it's got this, it's got that, it can do this, it can do that, it can do this, it can do that, it's $5,000. People go, oh man, it's too much, man. I'm not paying $5,000 for that. It needs to be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do a cheaper keyboard, it's like, or a cheaper device, it's like, oh well, it can't do this function, it can't do that function, it can't do this function. So you're never going to please everybody. I think the
Mm-hmm.
argument is making it so that way the ones who want to get in it can get in it at a price point that's
Mm-hmm.
sensible, but not charge way more money and there's really not much more of a breakout.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to break out, let people who want to pay the money to break out. And if they'd have a
Yeah.
problem with it, well then, I mean, at the end of the day, there's not much more you can do.
Yeah.
But like, for example, we take the XSE and the X. All right, we're talking about plugins. What's the biggest difference between the two? I have both of them. I got the X and the XSE. What's the difference between the two?
The
Other than the
color.
right?
Yep.
So a lot of people say that, oh, there's different converters in that one, which there is confirmation from Black Lion Audio that the converters are not the same in the X or they are in the XSE. It's not to say that they're better, it's just that they're not the same. But
Mm-hmm.
with that, when you leap to the XSE from the X, you're not drastically upgrading in really anything. What you're
Mm-hmm.
getting, if you look at the price point, you remember when those plugins first dropped, when they dropped their suite of plugins, they had like the Fabric XL, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was like around, I think it was like $500
Mm-hmm.
when it dropped, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was like $4.99 or some shit like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
somewhere around there, right? You look at the XSC and you look at the price difference between a brand new X, it's about $500. What comes in the XSC that doesn't come with the X? You get the full suite of plugins, just like you do in the 61.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically getting the same machine and they're just loading it up with the plugins, which doesn't really cost
Plugins.
that much more money, but you're getting all the plugins, which they then later
Yeah.
drop the price. But my point,
Mm-hmm.
you're paying the extra money to get the plugins, to get the software, but you're not really upgrading
This the
hardware wise.
actual unit.
Exactly. And so at
Yeah.
the end of the day, man, whether you use analog, digital, you use standalone, use in the box, you use, hardware, software. At the end of the day, it's like we said in the beginning, it doesn't matter what you use. What matters is how can you get it to sound at the end of the day. And if the sound that you get resonates with people and it works, then do it. Because I do know there are producers who are mainly in the box. They're in
Yeah.
the box a lot of things. They love plugins. And there's some dope plugins out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people, they do fool you and make you think that they're entirely in the box, but they're really not. A lot of them, at some point, they're coming back out and touching hardware at some point to
Yeah.
get final little something. If you hang around a studio, see that.
Or I know somebody, I ain't gonna say their name, but what they do is they've processed stuff through like all of this gear, and then like when they inside the computer, like they're basically taking these processed sounds and now they're running them back in the computer. So that shit is already smacking because of the way they've already like shit they've printed on tape machines and then dumped it into Pro Tools and then just exported it out because they use Pro Tools as a tape machine, export it out, make the waves, and then import that into like a redrum
Mm-hmm.
or whatever they're using, like making a sound fun out of them. So yeah, they're inside the computer, but them sounds came from them old machines. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's basically they found the balance. They taking the
Yeah.
sound, but they using the new computer workflow.
But you know what's
You
crazy too, right? We say that and we talk about that because of the genres of music that we listen to and that we make,
mm-hmm.
right? I'm pretty sure that most pop records, and I'm not talking pop, I'm talking like the candy pop, like polished stuff, they're not really too much concerned. right there. Like, you really think Britney Spears producer back in the day was like, y'all need to get my hands on this 60 to crank out this beat? You know what I'm saying? Because this, this NBC 2000 ain't getting
it. Mm-hmm.
it. Ain't worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
They want the cleanest, transparent sound that they can get, and they're gonna do what they
Mm-hmm.
need to do with the hardware to get it where it is. But
Mm-hmm.
the big thing is that gives us something to rally around and something to talk about because it's important to us because our ears have been shaped off it for so many years, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, name, okay, who are your if you had to pick who are your top 5 producers? If you had to just pick your top 5 from any genre,
Okay. Quincy Jones, DJ Toomp,
okay?
Brian Michael Cox, the Underdogs, and fuck it. I'm gonna throw in Dre for the hell of it.
You said Dre?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw in Dre for the hell of it.
Okay. 4 out of the 5 you named actually sit down and do instrumentation and play. Quincy Jones, he does play, but he doesn't really produce like that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in that, so we talk about those guys. What makes those guys unique? What makes those guys great? And can you name all the equipment that every one of them uses?
I could try.
Okay. All right. So okay, we'll take 2 easy ones.
Okay.
So let's take Dre. What does he use?
MPC
So
3000.
we know Dre's on that 3000, right? And he's got the
Uh-huh.
outboard. Okay. What about Brian Michael Cox?
When on his run, he was motif heavy in the MPC 4000.
And you also know he was using the NPC Renaissance. I don't know if you know that or not, but he was
Yeah,
on
I seen that.
a
Yeah.
lot, right? So
Yeah.
here's my point. Here's my point. So when I'm talking about the construction of the actual beat, not putting it together and saying, okay, you play this, you do this, you do this. I'm talking about sitting down at the hardware and saying, okay, let me do this, let me do that, let me do this. You've got 2 different ends of the spectrum. You've got Dre, who we know primarily uses the NBC 3000, and he's got his SSL gear. Then
Mm-hmm.
uh, you got Brian Michael Cox, who uses an array of gear, and we also know
Mm-hmm.
that he's using this controller, if you will, to
Mm-hmm.
get some of his sounds and some of the stuff he's made. 2
Mm-hmm.
dope producers that are doing great things that are using different gear different ways, and the results are dope. But
Mm-hmm.
we grew up listening to them, but we see that they understand sound in general and how to get it where they need to get it at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So whether Brian
Yeah.
Michael Cox is sitting on his NPC Renaissance or he's using a 4000 or he's using a motif, doesn't matter what it is. He's going to get on his keys and going to burn. He's going to do what he needs to do.
That's true.
But at the
'Cause-
end of the day, do you know how much engineering Brian Michael Cox does from beginning to end? Do you know how involved with every project that he does he is? Do you know how involved he is?
I can't tell you. I can't tell
That's
you.
what I'm saying. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And with Dre, do we know how involved he is? Like, we could speculate how involved he is.
Yeah.
But what the point I'm making is, out of all the producers you just named, to include Quincy Jones, the people that really make this whole thing come together are the engineers.
Yeah. 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 That's a
They're
clue.
the ones that made this whole thing come together. However, you still need great production in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
for them engineers to have that solid thing to work with, right? And so what I love about it is I grew up listening to different production styles and trying to figure out who's doing what, and like, where does it come from? Because a lot of people will have you think that it's just the producer that did all of that, and a lot of times it's the engineer, and there's other people doing stuff that you don't even know.
Oh yeah, hold on a second. Appreciate that intricate
Oh snap!
salute. Just a couple of quality producers chopping it up for us to listen, taking note. Appreciate that, bro. Nah, cause it's crazy you say that because I had an engineer teach me what sound replace was. Cause
Mm,
like bro had did a track and the engineer was like, man, these drums is ass. I just wasn't gonna tell him because I ain't got time to hear his mouth. This is his words. He said, I ain't got time to hear his mouth. He was like, I can replace these drums and he not gonna even know what going on. Long as it's thumping or what have you, he was like, we straight. And I literally seen, bro, like, take all them damn drums out of there with sound replace them with the sounds, and it was like, oh, y'all really do like that. I was like, oh, y'all really do play a part. Cause like I really like it would hit him, but it wasn't. But he was like, ain't nobody finna tell him because he got his head so far stuck up his ass type shit.
yeah.
He was like, but he ain't gonna know.
Okay.
Bro, boom, 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 boom.
It's good that you say that, right? So why did he do that instead of just EQing the crap out of it or compressing it or doing whatever he needed to do or running it through this to get it to sound that way? The reason he did that is because of sound selection to begin with. And that's what a lot of people miss. And this goes back to what we said in the beginning. The sound selection in your source is one of the most important things you can do. So if you already got drums that sound good from the jump, your engineers just gonna polish it and make it that much better. But if he's getting down, he's like, man, these drums suck. There's not he has to replace them because there's only so much you can do with everything else. It goes back to why we choose certain gear to do certain things, because I know I need to get this to sound a certain way. So when I send it to my engineer who's gonna finish it out, who I may or may not know, they don't have to replace my drums. But that's what makes a producer, though. A great producer looks at everything and says, okay, this works here, this works there. And somebody had mentioned something about Quincy Jones orchestrating. And that's right. That's what he does. He has the foresight to say, I don't like this, but I like this. And this works here. So when you sit up there and you're doing your thing, you take the guesswork out of some stuff when you use certain pieces that you know are going to give you the sonic value that you already need. So when it goes to mix down, if you're not mixing it yourself, that's just less work you got to do. Or it's already like tight when you listen to it. And it's just like, man, you ain't really got to do too much. And until you experience that, you don't understand
it. Cause cause like when I told you I eat shit and breathe music, I'm a junkie. But like even when I started like, like when you find it, like you say, like these producers that you like when you start to study them, like you be like, I'm gonna listen to these records back to back to back, or these few records or what have you. And like I was big on like the underdogs. And I was like, man, it's the same kick, this the same snare, this the same but I was like, these sounds they work. Like if it work and they hitting like, you can change them up, but like you certain producers you can tell like, oh, that's a Dre snare, or that's a Scott Storch snare. Like that's they got their kits and they got their few sounds, you know what I'm saying, that like really work for them and what they got going on. So that was one of the things that I picked up. I was like,
And even reading magazines and seeing how producers had techniques, one of the techniques I picked up, and this is something that I learned. You ever seen that movie Cadillac Records?
Yeah.
So there's a scene in there where I forget his name, the dude that plays the harmonica.
Lil Walt.
Yeah. He's in there and he's doing this thing, and the engineer's like, "Hey man, he's too close to the mic. Like it's not gonna sound good." And he's like, "Man, let him do his thing," because he's not using proper recording technique and he's doing something that's never been done before, but it sounded dope, and it just kind of became their thing, right? So the reason I bring that up is because even in that, I read a article about Timbaland and how he doesn't follow certain procedural things because he wants a certain sound. Meaning he breaks the rules sometimes because he understands the rules, but he wants to get a certain thing. And I'll give you an example. Your ASR 10 and your the rack that he used to use, the JV 1080, right? You ever heard the
Hey, I got one.
Yeah,
I
okay,
got
so
it.
you have it for a reason because you love the way it sounds, right? It's just got
Uh-huh.
a darker tone to it. It's not as bright as the 5080. It's something about it, man. It's just like what he would do is he would record all of his stuff, and instead of using individual outs and instead of separating the tracks, sometimes what he would do is he would dump his whole song out, two track out of the two outs, or sometimes he would come out of the headphone output into there because it had a certain sonic quality that he wanted that he didn't want to change, and he knew by going this route is going to change it, but if I do it like this, it's going to give it that something I can't quite explain. He knew the rules. He knew the rules, and he knew, okay, but this is how I'm gonna break the rules, and I'm gonna make this sound that everybody's gonna love. Because you can't tell me that 99s and 2000s Timberland wasn't it. You can't
Man,
tell me. And then I
man,
get on the Neptunes.
mm,
Shout out to Chad, by the way, because
man.
a lot of
Yeah,
people don't know
chat.
it was Chad that
Yeah,
was
yeah, 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 yeah. With
hey,
with the little guitar parts and all that
yeah,
extraness.
hey,
Yeah,
man, no, Chad is the one that had them drums hitting like that. That was
yeah.
a lot of people think that was Pharrell, bro. That was not Pharrell.
Nah,
Chad is the
nah,
one that
nah.
had those drums hitting like that. a lot of the syncopation that you would hear, a lot of the like he would take the lead sounds and he would drop it in like a lower octave and play it. And you know
Mm-hmm.
his timing, right? 'Cause again, we can talk music theory because you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
talk about with his timing, he's got one thing going in a 16th note, then he's got another thing going in a triplet, then he's
yeah,
got
yeah,
another
yeah, yeah, yeah.
straight on an eighth note, but it comes in and
Mm-hmm.
comes out. But that dude is like sound. So think
Yeah.
the first track that I heard, not that I heard from the Neptunes, but the first track that made me absolutely fall in love was the Clips Grinding. Bro,
Mm.
there's nothing to that beat, man.
Yeah.
There's kick, there's some claps, there's some snaps, there's that little like melody sound that they got,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's that weird ass sound, and they're all in the Triton. And I know what kid it
Oh
is
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
and,
course.
and tell me you didn't try to make that beat. Tell me you
Bro,
didn't make that beat.
listen, listen. You gotta understand. I'm in middle school, so what it was my sixth grade Christmas. So coming out my sixth grade Christmas, when we go back that second half, I got everybody over to the house or whatever, and I got it plugged up, and I was like, "Hey, y'all want to hear something?" And I'm trying to make the beat because on the Triton, a lot of the songs that was on the radio, I'm finding the sounds.
That's right, because they
It,
exhausted that thing.
but you know what? You know what made me mad? Like once I started to like find my own way, I was like, "Bruh," like, cause what's the Walk It Out? That Walk It Out. That was a
Yeah.
big record down here. But that
Uh-huh.
1, 2, 3, that sound effect, that's
Who's that?
in
Was that
there.
Hurricane Chris? Walk it out. No.
Franchise, franchise, franchise boys.
What
Them
was it?
franchise boys. They was signed to Jermaine Dupri.
I thought
That
they
was
did
his.
White Heat. I did that. Oh, I think they liked me. I thought
I'm
that
gonna
was it.
get. I'm gonna get my. No, was that DJ Unk? I'm gonna get my Atlanta card
Yeah, DJ
revoked.
Uncle's Walk It Out.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my Atlanta card
Yeah, they
revoked for
gonna
that.
get you. I'm not from Atlanta, so
I'm gonna
they
get
gonna get
my Atlanta card. I'm gonna get my Atlanta card revoked.
yeah, no, Hurricane Chris had a baby. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
That's what I was
but
thinking.
them sounds was in that. Then once I went to the keyboard, I was like, bro, all the sounds, even like the steam suites for the Mary J. Blige "Be Without You," they come from Detroit, and I'm like, y'all niggas done used up everything in this boy,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, and that's the thing about it, man. Like that was they exhausted the sound so much that you really couldn't mess with it anymore.
Yeah, nah,
Like
facts.
it was very hard. Like even if you go in there and you use the guitars, just the way they were hitting those chords, and that strumming noise, like that's all the Neptunes. You can never use
Hmm.
that, and somebody not say that sound like a Neptune thing.
Man, man,
That keyboard made a lot of platinum records.
hey man, I knew the Neptunes was the shit when I heard it was two songs that did it for me. That LL Cool J, that "Love You Better" beat, dog.
That was
Just
smooth.
that the guitar, that doom 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 da dum. I'm like,
Yeah, that was
bro,
that.
do
And
y'all hear this?
what's dope about that song is the drums too, because the drums bring it together. Because you got that smooth ride, and the drums just come in and hit you real quick, and then chill out,
Mm-hmm.
and it just hits you real quick and chill out. And
Yeah,
I'm telling you, and the way Chad was able to do his production, and again, I'm not taking anything away from Pharrell because they played each other very well, and they were a great duo. And
mm-hmm.
Chad understood so much when it came to it that I would take a lot of my like I guess styling from them. Not that I was doing their style, but how they would bring different things that you're not expecting. Like for example, one of the beats I tried to remake when I got one of my Roland samplers was Busta Rhymes. Uh there's a song that he has.
Don't say that song with Janet Jackson.
No, 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 no. It was on the album that had Busta, what it is right now. But
Oh
there's another
man,
song that he had that goes,
you finna have me digging. Hold on.
it goes like the drum track is crazy. I forget the name of the song, but he goes, when I come, no, 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 no. Hold on. How did it go? I'm trying to think. Off, tear the roof. No, that's tear the roof off. I'm still stuck on that Wiz Beats one. It's the Busta Rhymes song. The melody goes da, 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 da. And the drum track is just crazy, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the name of the song,
It's
but
gonna
that was
look when we get off live, it's gonna come to you.
yeah, it is. It's gonna hit me, man, because I was just listening to it the other day. It's gonna
Mm-hmm.
hit me, but that drum track, it was like dum dum clap, dum clap, dum dum clap. It was just the way they were doing it in those simple beats, man. That really let me. When I come back, thanks the Reaper. Thank you, thank you. When I come, I'm saying all over the track, man. Follow me, as I come back. That's the song, right? Because it takes
Gotcha,
one of
gotcha.
the other songs, right? So
Uh,
the beat for that thing is so crazy, man. That early Neptune stuff, before I knew who they were, I was already picking up on it. The stuff they did with
mm-hmm.
Nori was crazy.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
Noriega, Super Thug,
Super
and
Thug.
just man,
Super,
to
super
me,
Thug.
the Neptunes are in my top five. And I get it, they're
Mm.
two guys, but they're a production duo. But I would say, man, like their hip hop and R&B production in the early 2000s helped shape my life. Between
Mm-hmm.
them, Rodney Jerkins, Timbaland,
Oh, you can't just
like
gloss over Dark Child like that,
yeah,
bro.
no, the Dark Man, the Dark, what,
You
bro? So
can't just,
he did when he did Brandy's Full Moon.
bro. The syncopation of like that beat, like he did a beat breakdown, and he was basically like how he was doing that shit. Like I'm like, dog, because none of that shit quantized. Everything just like, it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
no, Dark Child is a beast, man, and like just listening to that production from the early 2000s, man, I love it so much because it gave so much variety. It gave so much
mhm,
variety to where I'm like, this is dope, man. Like I didn't hear this person sound like this person. This person didn't sound like that person. Like who else you know sounded like Timbaland? Another thing too, bro. I'm gonna tell you
mhm,
about this, and you know this. A lot of people
mhm.
don't know this. A lot of the biggest hits that we heard once producers got on was not even produced solely by them.
Yeah.
A lot, but the thing is, a lot of people don't know that. They hear, oh, it's a Timbaland track. Timbaland did that, but who you really probably fell in love with was Danger Hands.
Wait a minute. Pause.
I'm just
Pause.
saying.
I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna do you one better. So when I was this was the end of my sophomore year in high school. Because I went to performing arts high school.
Mm-hmm.
So my ninth grade year, we had went this when the Grammy chapters started trying to like explode or whatever, and they had Grammy Day, like Grammy in school shit or what
Yeah.
have you. And I seen they had this thing called Grammy Camp or
Uh-huh.
what have you, like the Grammy Awards. They have a camp, and so I tried to get in my ninth grade year. The shit didn't pan out. But I tried again for my 10th grade year, but you would go like that, basically like your summer leading up. So I'll be getting ready to be a junior.
Yeah.
And like when I did it, like 50,000 kids like applied or whatever, and they only took 80. My black ass happened to be one of the 80 or what have you.
Yeah.
But Danger, he did a master class for my class for the
Yeah.
production or
Oh,
whatever.
that's dope.
And the crazy part about it was, cause he was still low key, cause this like oh eight, oh
Yeah. This
seven, or what have you.
Justin Timberlake was dropping his album. Bro, yeah,
That's
Nelly
what it was like
Furtado
when he
dropping.
came. It was like, oh shit, this nigga finna beat like, cause he was working under Tim, but he had started to get his own name, and then like you said, the Justin Timberlake shit and all that, or what have you. And
That my
I'm
love.
sitting in there. I'm sitting in there. I didn't even know who bro was, but I knew who his music was. And he made a beat for us in Logic with just Logic stock sounds, but he was tweaking, playing with LFOs and doing all that shit. And I never
Sound
forget at the
design,
end of that
yeah.
shit, I was like, bro, to be honest, Timberland probably sound like that because of him.
And and the thing is not to take anything away from these dope producers.
No, no,
It
nothing.
is that you get to a point where you start hearing other artists and you're like, okay, I can use that as this foundation and I can build on top of that and then make it dope. And
Mm-hmm.
I get it because if it wasn't for Timberland, do we know that we would have discovered Danger Hands? We don't know that. We don't know that we would have ever heard his music. Just like Scott Storch. And again, not to get into the politics of it, but we know Scott Storch was behind some tracks, right? But then with
Wait a
that, go ahead.
wait a minute. And the other crazy part about it was because we had two master classes because the camp was only 9 days, but we had two master classes. Our other master class was with Mike Elizondo. And
Woo!
see, if people don't know who Mike Elizondo is, because once again, low key guy, you know, he don't look like what he do or whatever. He in there talking and he hit out. So yeah, I'm in there with Dre and I just started playing this string line and it become in the club and I'm like, what? And he like, yeah. So he was like, I'm the one that came out. He's like, Dre had the drum program going. Boom, cat just got it on loop, got it on loop. And he was like, so Mike, what you got? And he was like, doom, 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 doom. I was like,
But that beat though, right? And this is what I love about music production, man. And I got to give my hats off to you, man. The way you produce music, man, is very similar to how I produce it. But you are
mm-hmm,
very melodic, you're very soulful, and you're just going all these different directions, but it works. It's like,
mm-hmm,
okay, this is here, you're gonna stay in this lane, and then you're gonna come over here and you're gonna do your thing over here. And then you're gonna come over here, you're gonna do your thing here, but then you're gonna come here, you're gonna grab this person and come here. And as you're
mm-hmm,
playing and producing, it's like I'm visually seeing what you're doing. Like obviously I'm
mm-hmm,
watching you, but I can
mm-hmm,
hear and I can visually see what you're doing. And that's how I create music, man. And so I'm sitting there and I'm
mm-hmm,
listening. And sometimes the stuff that you do is not super intricate, right? When you understand
mm-hmm,
music theory, it's like, okay, that's just a C major. All right. And then
mm-hmm,
walking it down to an A. Okay, cool. And he's doing his thing. Okay, he's got some sustains in there. It's
mm-hmm.
dope, but it works. And then you start getting crazy. And I'm like, man, this dude's throwing diminished chord. He's doing this, he's doing that. It's like, I'm like Beethoven at work. I'm like, okay, all right, dude. But I'm like, is dope. And I'm like, man, it doesn't matter what you do. It's like you do it, and then it's just like
Mm-hmm.
it just sounds good though. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. And like I said, I got to give my hats off to you, man. Part of
Appreciate
the
that, man.
part of the reason why I was very like yo, we got to get this dude back on track, man, because when you see a superhero that don't have his superpowers, you gotta get him back in the game, man. Like, think about it, right? Think about all those superheroes movies you watch, and they
Yeah,
crushing stuff, and all of a sudden the enemy comes up and he's got the superhero kind of like, oh, and then some little kid
yeah.
with a teddy bear runs up and he's like, no, get up, superhero, you can do it. Got a superhero, like, oh, and he's back on, he start whipping out. Bro, it was my duty to get you back on track, man, because
Oh,
as a producer myself, and Ski will tell you this, bro, and I think it's why we all get along. I don't hate on anybody. If it's dope, it's dope.
yeah, yeah.
Me and you, I don't know if you noticed, but me and you talked before you ever called me. And I don't know if you know that.
We did.
I'm putting you
When?
on the spot now. Yeah. No, so I came across you months ago, probably maybe like November, December time frame. And I was just
Uh-huh.
and I was just, I'll listen to beats. And if it don't catch me in the first few minutes and I don't see like it's going, I'll keep scrolling. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm through and you were doing something, and I was like, what the hell? I was like, damn, that's
Uh-huh.
dope. And I thought maybe it was a one-off.
Uh-huh.
Going through it again, I'm like, nah, bro. I like something different. This cat, man. This is not your classic FL Studio. Let me just click and I got my 808s, and I'm like, nah, this dude understands music. Again, I don't know who you are. I'm just watching the beats.
Yeah, yeah.
And you did something one time, man. And I was like, all right, I gotta message this dude. And so I sent you a message on IG, and I should pull
Uh,
it up, screenshot, and send it to you. I basically was like, hey, man, I like what you do. You do dope work. And you were like, hey, thanks, Brody. Appreciate it.
that
And it
sound
was
like me.
like, huh?
I said, yeah, that
Yeah.
sound like me.
Like, thanks, Brody. Appreciate it. And that was that, man. And that, I just wanted to say, bro, like, it's dope. And I think I can share this sentiment. A lot of people on here share this sentiment, man, that watching you create and when you create, it's just something dope to watch. And me as a producer and as a creator, I create all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
looking back and seeing somebody else create and be like, damn, that's where you went with it. That's dope. Even if you'll sit there, bro, you got the metronome going. Because you're like me, you do the double time.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to.
Metronome going, you doing your thing, you're like, okay, you'll stop. I'm gonna imitate you. You'll stop. You be like, all right, you look at the live real quick. Hey, ain't no brass in there, bro. And you doing your thing, and I'm like, bro, he's in the zone. That's the type of stuff we live for, man, because
Yeah.
we get inspired by stuff like that. Having all my
Mhm.
gear inspires me. These are the
Mhm.
things that's like your ability to create music and just see it and help others see it, even if it's not a finished project, is dope.
Mhm.
Somebody said the smoke alarm metronome.
Hey, for the record, I got them all fixed, okay? I got them all. I got them all fixed. They don't beep. They ain't beat none today.
He said, so no, I have to give my hats off to you, man. And so, like I said, and we were talking, man, like on social media and stuff like that. I know that you came out, you do your thing, you're getting your following up and your subscribers up and everything, and you're just making dope stuff, man. And with me, it's like it was nothing I do is solely about money unless it is about money. And
Mhm.
I'm upfront about that. I'm like, no, this is about money. Like I need to get paid.
Yeah. Most
The
definitely.
thing between me and you, man, this was personal. And I mean it
Mhm.
was personal because I'm a producer who loves to make music and has a passion for music. And I see another producer that shares that same passion and he's down and he's out and I can help.
Mhm.
You came to me for one thing. I saw something else and I was like, hey man, I can help you. To me,
Mhm.
that's all that mattered. Was like, we got to get
Mhm.
the superhero back in the fight, man. And say that to put you on a pedestal as, oh, you're bigger than life. Well, like, that's not what I mean. What I mean is you have
No.
talent, and
Yeah,
this
no.
talent is gonna take you super far, whatever you decide to do with it, man. But my thing is, I can't sit by and watch talent struggle and not help.
Yeah,
Right?
no.
It's just, I,
Facts.
I I can't do it. So to me, it
Yeah.
was like, no, bro, we gonna see this through. But the thing is,
Yeah.
once I'm locked in, and it's
Yeah.
like this is what we do. That's what we do. So I want to give
Yeah.
you hats off, man, dog. Like the way you produce music is just it's interesting to watch. It's never a dull moment. It's
I
interesting to watch.
appreciate
So
that, man.
definitely,
I appreciate that.
you definitely do your thing, man. And if I didn't know you and I never had the chance to work with you, and let's say if this was back in like 2002, 2003, and I saw you on a DVD or in a magazine or something, I was like, hey, man, what's he doing with this? Like, how he's doing that? We would be talking about you on a live today. Yeah, man, I used to watch Georgia Muscle, going rap, all this stuff, man. So from one producer and engineer to another, brother, I really appreciate everything that you do, man.
Man, I appreciate you, dog. Man, like I tell everybody, man, just hearing shit like that, bro, like that be the inspiration that fuels me to like just keep doing it. Cause like I'll be 100 with you. This shit is just a grind, and sometimes you just need to hear certain shit, see certain shit. You know what I'm saying, man? And I'm really, 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 really appreciative for all that you've done for me.
Oh, for
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? You've been a stand up guy. Hell, one day we was on the phone just yapping for a minute.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But like, it even be conversations, man, and shit like that. Like, just inspire you to go cook up, or just inspire you to keep going. Cause you're a producer, man. You know how this shit is. Some days it
Yeah.
just be like, oh, what the
Yeah.
fuck is going on? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Crazy about that. So when I have those days, man, and we talked about this when we were on the Zoom for some of the guys that were in it. I see some familiar names in here. We talked about it, right? And I didn't chime in because I was actually in the background working on something. I know
oh
Ski was
yeah, I
probably,
see.
and he was like, man, every time I talk to Jay Ham, I hear a drill or something going off in the background because that's just what I'm doing. I'm actually not doing it now because
uh,
I'm working on something when you called, and I was like, let me
okay.
step away and do. I'll be drilling, but uh, the thing I was gonna say is we get into the studio sometimes and we feel like we got to go through and we got to create bangers every time and we got to dump all this stuff out because we have so much at our disposal that back when we started making beats you couldn't make beats this fast because the workflow wasn't so quick. So this is
Mhm.
why a lot of producers were able to charge so much and do so much because not only were producers rare, but to have a good producer that can consistently make good tracks was hard to find. So you
Mhm.
could charge that amount of money because you had bigger budgets, you had
Mhm.
things that were going in there, but to not everybody and their mom was producing. So
Yeah.
sometimes when you get in there and it's like, man, I got beat block, I don't know what to create. One of the tips I would share with people, anybody on here listening, sometimes it's not about creating a whole track. And I shared this with Ski earlier. I've got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of songs over 20, now going on 27 years of music production on my hard drive. I never delete a track. I never delete it.
Mm.
And I know some people are like, I don't like it. I do. That's cool. That's your thing. I don't. And here's why. There are times where I will sit down and I'm like, man, I can't come up with nothing. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me go sort my drums. Let me just go through and put all these light kicks and just make a pack. And then I'll be listening to stuff, and then I'm throwing kicks in there, and I'm throwing snares in there, and now I'm inspired. I'm like, oh, I like the way this kick and snare sound. And then I'll make a shell. I just got a drum track, and then I save it. There's been multiple times where I'm creating tracks, and then I'm like, you know what? I built a melody before. Let me go pull that up. Or I'll pull up just like a piano or a chord progression that I'm like, I don't know, and I save it. And then I go pull it up, and I'm like, oh, I'm going in a different direction now. So sometimes when you sit down, like you don't always have a purpose, but sometimes it's like, okay, I can't create, but let me organize myself, or let me do something that can be a shell to inspire me later. Or sometimes I'll just sit down and I'll just go through samples. I'll just sit down and I'm looking at samples. And I'm like, let me just capture this part. Let me pitch this up and reverse that and then just see what it do and just make a quick little chop and then I'll save it. And then I'll come back 3 weeks later or a month later or shit, even a year later, and I'll boom, I'll make a track out of it. And I'm like, man, I started this a year and a half ago. Another thing I do too, because when I save all my stuff in the computer or whenever I do certain things, I always put the date on it. I
Yeah.
put the date. So if I make a beat, it's gonna be a 7/1/24, 6/1/22. And I save the date. So when I pull it, I'm like, damn, I made that beat a year and 6 months ago. And it just makes it easier to find. So sometimes when it comes to the beat block, like if you can't find inspiration sometimes you just start messing around with stuff and start organizing stuff and you'll feel productive. You've done something that's going to help you later on because you got drum kits and all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many
Hey,
times you try to search for the right drum?
man, all day, every day. That's a whole nother conversation. But I tell you, my cheat for beat block. Well, for one, like I listen to music all day, every day. Like I literally got a speaker everywhere in my kitchen, in my
Mm,
bathroom.
yeah.
I took the TV out my bedroom so I could on purpose fall asleep listening to music,
There
wake
you
up in the middle of the night, be singing, all
Yeah.
that type of all that type of shit. But the biggest thing what I do is because I can play, I'll just go on YouTube and I find a song like a gospel song or some shit and watch somebody play it or do a breakdown and be like, I like that chord. I like that chord. Let's put them together. Let's move them around. Or I even sit there and try to learn this, like learn the progression, and then I just transpose it to another key. Maybe do a turnaround. Maybe mix chords around. Then you look up. Now you gotta
Yeah,
you
exactly.
got some. I might not make a beat out of it. I might just have a progression. Come back tomorrow. I might sample that progression, or I might build. You know what I'm saying? Music around it, and that's why I be telling people all the time, like just knowing music and knowing theory. Hell, even if you're not producing, you can just pick up and play. And by
Exactly.
picking up and play, that change your whole mood, your mind. You know what I'm saying, and shit of that nature. And then you look up, you back in the you back in the swing of things or what have you. So.
Exactly. And something
Yeah.
that you said, man, when you were like, hey, play this progression and then sample, I sample myself a lot. So what I'll
Yeah.
do is I'll play a melody, I'll put the drums over it, and I'll put, whatever over it, and then I'll just save that. And then I'll go back,
Mhm.
I will treat what I played like a week later, a month later, whatever, as a sample. And be like, if I were hearing this and I
Mhm.
was sample it, how would I sample it? And then maybe
Mhm.
I'll do whatever I would. And now I'm taking my own original composition, sampling it, and then making
Yeah.
something completely new off of it. Like I
Yeah.
said, because my wife, she's a singer, and just so you know, here in the next couple months, after we finish getting the studio set up, we coming hard. Just to let you know, we bringing the heat. But there are songs that I've produced for her and that I've made for her that we've recorded that I've then gone back and sampled,
Sample.
made
Yeah.
into a song,
Yeah. I
right?
did
And
the
it,
same thing. I did the same thing with my sister. I just had
yeah,
her. I was like, just come. I let her. All I did was I turned on like some Motown like instrumentals or whatever, and I was like, just sing, just sing along with it. Let her sing. Took them acapellas. Cat, 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 cat.
yeah, I'm telling you, man. Like,
You,
there's so much out, and with the tools we have now, man, like there's so much you can do. It's almost too much, to be honest.
oh
But
yeah, 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 yeah.
I think the limitations force the creativity. And because I work within those limitations, I can appreciate having more. I didn't just dive
Mhm.
into all this stuff. Like I had to figure out how to make certain things work. And what's great about this whole conversation that we're having, and I know we've been on here for a minute, but what's great about this conversation,
Oh
man,
shit, we
I
done been
know,
on for
right?
almost 3 hours.
That's the point I'm gonna make, right? The the point that we've been on here and we're just talking and chopping it up and we're both enthusiastic and passionate about it. You don't get to share that every day,
Nah,
right?
you don't.
Not too many people that you're gonna run into that are gonna have the same understanding, appreciation, and passion for what you're doing. Like when I got my
Mhm.
when I got when I got my 8 out for my ASR
Mhm.
here, the first person I called was Ski.
Oh
First
yeah,
person I called.
yeah.
I got friends from all walks of life, man. I got friends that I talk to about all kinds of stuff, but there's not
Mhm.
too many of them that are not producers or engineers that I can call that can understand the significance of that or
Mhm.
genuinely care or be excited. Now they may be excited because oh, I'm excited. Okay, yeah, that's great, cool, that's dope. But do you really genuinely understand why I'm excited? And are you really excited? But you know
Yeah,
who
yeah,
is?
yeah.
When I call Ski and I'm like, dog, you won't believe what he's like. What's up? What's up? What happened? I tell him he's like, hell yeah, hell yeah.
Mhm.
He remind me of Eddie Murphy in Life. Remember when he was like, hey, if there was a club called Ray Boom Boom Room, wouldn't you want to go? Hell yeah, you would.
Hell yeah.
That's how excited and Ski was excited, man. And so, or I'll hit you and we'll talk about stuff. And the fact that we're able to talk about it, man, like I didn't have this in high school because
Me neither.
nobody was doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm explaining, oh man, I broke the drums down, I did this, and they're just like, oh, so does it sound like the Neptunes? Does it sound like Nelly's hit? I'm like, no, man,
Mhm.
not it's not Neptune, bro. It's this, and I did it like that. And they're like, oh, okay, you heard the new Usher song? I'm like, all right, bro, you know what? Never mind, bro. Like they don't understand.
Yeah.
And what I love about this, man, is the passion that people have. We're now able to connect and be like, yo,
Yeah.
you remember that? You and I grew up in two totally different parts of the country, man. We had two totally
Mhm.
different, lifestyles, but we shared a lot of the same experiences. And that's what I
Mhm.
think is dope about music production. That's why I love it so much, man, because
Yeah.
bro, I will run into producers and we'll talk for hours and hours and hours. And it's just like, yo, that's
Yeah.
dope. That's dope, man. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Cause well, I can say, my boy A Major, he in the live. I had hit him
oh, he's
yesterday.
dope. Hey, shout out to A Major though. He's dope, man. I see you, bro.
Hard,
You dope, man.
hard. I was on the phone with him. I looked up. I was like, damn, we'll be on the phone for over an hour. I was like, bro, I'm gonna let you go. 'Cause I was like, we can keep this conversation going for a whole another hour
Yeah,
or two, bro. Like,
yeah.
that
And the
how
fact
that shit be
people can
though.
tap in and kind of get insight into this. This is what we did back in the day. We read magazines, we read blogs, we read this stuff to see these conversations that are happening now. But the fact that
Hmm.
we can get on here and do this and people can tune in and chime in is just dope, man. And so
Yeah.
you know it it's just a great thing, man. And I just love music production, and I know a lot of people need help. And I'm not here to be everybody's savior, man. I'm not here to be like, yo, I'm gonna do what I can for any and everybody, don't matter who you are. And
Hmm.
because that would be foolish because I have limited bandwidth. You know what I mean? But the ones that are serious about what they're trying to do and they really have a passion, like if I get to know you, it's like I'm gonna bend over backwards to help you, man, because
Hmm.
I had good people in my life that did that for me. There's a dude named Mike that used to work at the Guitar Center that I told you went to college. Bro, that
Hmm.
dude, man, I used to annoy the shit out of that dude. I would call Mike and be like, hey man, I saw in this magazine, they got this thing. And when I tell you knowledgeable, he'd be like, yeah, man. He's like, that thing is dope, but you don't want that. What you want to do is you want to get this. That was like my own
Hmm.
personal consultant. And the dude, like,
Hmm.
he knew that I wasn't balling like that, where I was gonna come just drop a stack. Like he knew that. Like
Hmm.
he knew, like, hey man, this kid's gonna buy as he can, as he should. He saw my passion, and bro, dude taught me everything he knew to help me get to where I'm at. And then the dude on Pro Sound and Stage Light, I used to call same thing. Talk to him, hey, they're supposed to be working. They're like, what you need, little man? What's up? What you need? Oh yeah,
Hmm.
help. And they would teach me the game. And so I just give that back as I can. But also,
Hmm.
too, some people aren't really serious about trying to do stuff and they just waste your time. And
Yeah.
it's like, I can't do that, man.
Yeah.
So I think it's dope, man. I like the community that you're building and everything, man. And so
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me come through and talk to you, brother. Like,
Oh man, bro,
oh
it's I had to let everybody see the man who got me back in the gym, man.
yeah, yeah,
I owed you that much. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? I owed you that much, and I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't know been on there. I know,
Oh,
look, and I tell you the truth. I had my phone died. I had a session I supposed to went to at 11. I think I done blew that up. It's all good. It's all good. It was just a writing session. I was just
Hey,
passing through.
you might want to hit him.
I was just oh, I know I'm being called all type of MFs on this phone
Oh
or
yeah,
what
my
have
bad.
you.
I know about
It's
that, man.
all hey, it's all good.
The answer
It's
to
all
Papa, he said, yo, ask Jay who we got to call to get his rug right, man. That was some bull, dog. That was trash. That was absolute. Show y'all this rug. That was absolute trash.
What happened to your rug?
So, bro, I ordered this custom rug that's just like my hoodie here,
Oh shit.
and you know, I would, but I got this thing mounted, but I'd show it to you right now. But I
Uh-huh.
ordered a custom rug, man, and it was supposed to come out dope. And on the website, they made it look dope, like I was gonna get it in a couple days and all this stuff. It took a month and a half to get here. I kept calling her like, "Oh, it's next in the production line. It's next." I get it. I open it up. It's supposed to be black and gold.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Black and
all
gold.
faded. The edges don't line up. It just looks like trash, bro. And so I hit him and I was just like, before I went high and to the right, I basically called the dude. He tried to gaslight and be like, oh no, it's supposed to look like that. I'm like, nah, show me an example. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, just send us some pictures. Sent them the pictures. And I said, before I go high and to the right, I'm gonna give them a chance to see if they can fix it. Because
Mm-hmm.
mistakes happen, things happen. They said when I called, they were like, yo, the rug's in the QC process. To me, quality control means you're checking to make sure it looks the way it's supposed to look, so I don't get some jacked up stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah.
rugs, so I'm like, either your QC process sucks or y'all were lying. Because
They were
this is,
lying.
bro, this is unacceptable. So I'm gonna give them a chance to fix it
Mm-hmm.
before I go high and to the right, because problems happen, right?
Yeah.
We got a board. Even though you and I had nothing to do with it, it didn't make it there. But I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
let's see if we can make it right. You could have easily went online and be like, yo, man, JM sent me this board. UPS lost, USPS lost, man. You know, man, don't work with that dude, man. You don't get like, whoa, playboy. You know, so I always give people a chance. Like things happen. That's life. You can't choose
Mm-hmm.
what happens to you, but you can choose how you react to it. So I'm gonna give them a
Yeah,
chance
yeah.
to fix it. If they make it right, hey, cool. I probably won't do business with them again just because I'm kind
Oh
of
yeah,
like,
now they done lost your business. That's over with.
but it's whatever. However, I will tell you, I ain't ever doing business with USPS again when it comes to shipping anything. I don't have to.
No, no, no. Hey, I told you my mom said my mom was like, they don't give a fuck. She was like, because they still gonna mail letters and stuff like that. She was like, that's what you get when you deal with people that got other business and shit like that, and they know they still gonna stand regardless of what we say and think about
Yeah,
them. I was like,
exactly. So it's like, man,
right.
it's one of those things. It's not it as we were talking, man, it was not worth losing, the energy and just being like, all right, man, it was frustrating for both of us. We saw it
Hmm.
through. But I just know, man, okay, in the future, if I can avoid going here, I'll avoid going here.
Yeah,
UPS,
no, I'm
shout
done.
out. And again, they all have issues at some point. However,
Hmm.
I just don't like how this whole thing went down, and that soured it for me, man.
Yeah, no.
And so that's just my take, but that's what they were talking about with the whole rug thing, man. It I, it's kind of like the frustrating thing too, man. I was waiting a month and a half, and they said it was going to be 4 days,
Oh
and I
hell
called them
no.
to cancel it because I gave them some time, and they're like, "Oh, we're super backed up on orders." So I was like, "All right, cool. I give them some time. I'm still setting the studio up. I can wait."
You
And I called
nice.
to cancel it, and it was just like, man. Then oh, it's out of production. It's good. I was like, all right, cool. And then I get this, and I'm like, that just soured the whole thing, man. So either they're gonna give me my money back, or they're gonna get they gonna
Yeah,
get they gonna get it
yeah,
talked about. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You know, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it tastefully and eloquently, but they're gonna get talked about.
Gotcha, 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 gotcha.
No.
Shit. What I'm finna
Yeah,
say,
brother.
man. Hopefully I'll be on your side of the country, man. At least by August.
Oh
I've
yeah,
been
me.
pushing.
He's supposed to link up next month or next week.
Yeah, look. I'm supposed to be coming out there to see him too. But that's a different world over there, man. I'm scared if I come over there, I ain't coming back.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, he's coming down here. I ain't going up there. So
Yeah. I'm
but
just it don't matter anywhere in California. If I go, I'm not coming back.
oh, you talking about you gonna love it?
Yeah, of course
Oh,
I'ma love
okay.
it. I'ma
Huh?
love it.
Yeah,
I'ma
no,
love Cali.
it's cool. It's dope, man. It's got its problems. Trust me, it's got its problems, but it's dope, man. I've lived all over the world, man, and it's dope. It's got its little thing, man. But
Hmm.
I got something Ski don't know, and if you watching
What?
it live, he'll know. But I'm not gonna say what it is. But I got
What?
something dope that I'm gonna give him, man.
Ah,
And bro,
man.
when I tell you this, stay tuned for
Man.
this. This is gonna be. crazy. This is gonna be
Man.
crazy. Like,
Give me a reason. I'm telling you, bro. Every time I come over there, no matter what part of California I done been to, every time I'm in the airport, I cry because I be
we
like, I
gotta go
gotta
back.
go back to Georgia. And don't get me wrong, I love Atlanta. I'm an Atlanta man through and through, but I don't know, man. Out there in Cali, the weather's different. The air
Yeah,
smells different. It's just
it,
like,
it it hits different, man. It does, and like I said, it's a love hate thing. Some people love it, some people absolutely hate it.
man,
I like it, man. And I said I've lived all over Southern California too, and it's it's dope, man. But it's just one of those things, man. Like, I think everybody should experience it at least once to
mhm.
to know. But I absolutely I love it, man. So if you come, like I said, you come out, let me know. I've only been to Atlanta one time, and this was back in like the early 2000s. And
I was finna say not Freaknik Atlanta. I hope
oh
not.
nah, man, I heard and seen footage on that from my from my uncles and stuff like that and
Oh
whatnot.
yeah, look, I know they told you some shit, boy.
Yeah, they did,
E-
man.
everything was true.
Yeah,
Everything was true.
yeah.
Everything.
So I know it's got his roots, man. But yeah, no, if you make your way
Yeah,
out, and say you definitely hit me up, man, and we'll link, man. But
yeah,
in
man.
the meantime, man, we got your board back. I know a lot of people, were getting on you to get that straight. So now we
Mm,
got that straight. You should have been straight
yeah,
a week and a half ago, but it is what it is. We bounce
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man, get in there, cook up, do what you got to do. Like I said, man, just glad I could get the superhero back, get his
Hey,
superpowers
man.
back up. You know what I mean?
Listen, man, I appreciate you, and then I appreciate Ski for making the connection. And then look, the people in my live, they the ones that hooked me up with Ski. Like I made a video talking about the MPC,
Oh
and
yeah,
I checked
yeah,
my messages, and they was like, "Hey, EA Ski was talking about you. He made a video about you." I was like, "What?" I click on there, I see the video. I hit him in the DM. Me and him talked on there. And we've been talking ever since. The
yeah.
power of the internet,
Oh
man.
yeah. Like, yeah, he sent Malo beats my way. Like I said, I got him a SP 1200, got him set up.
Oh,
You know,
you the one that got Marlo that SP.
yeah, that was me, man. Yeah, so I got Malo his SP. I got Ski his ASR X. Now we got you with the
Got
ASR,
me it.
man. So
Hey, he becoming the Rich Paul of YouTube producers, man. He's silent. I didn't even know because I watched this video, and he was like, because he had what the title was. He was like, I finally got the sample of my dreams, or something like that, or what have you. And you to connect. Get the fuck out of here. That's hard.
yeah, that
That's
was it.
hard.
Part of the reason. So crazy thing is, they're separate events, but this is what kind of, like, my first instinct is to always go with FedEx or UPS. That's always my first instinct. However,
Hmm.
when I shipped Malo his SP 1200, I used UPS,
Hmm.
and it got damaged in shipping. And so we had to do some stuff to get it straight, and we ended up getting it straight and getting him another SP 1200, and then we worked it all out. But yeah, that was just one of those weird things, and so it was just kind of in my mind, like, all right, let me try this route.
Hmm.
But it is what it is. Like, when it comes to shipping stuff around the country, and you already know, I don't skimp when I box it up and when I package it.
Nope.
Like, it's
Nope.
built to last.
Yep.
Like,
I mean,
Ski will tell you, man, I've been
you put the
bulletproof
cushions
that.
on the outside. It's bubble wrap, and then once you pop the bubble wrap, it's wrapped up again. Then you pop that. It's three levels. When I was doing it, I was like,
Yeah,
"This
so for
motherfucker
them to
one
do
playing."
that, they had to really be doing some heinous actions, man, because that thing was made to last. But we ended up getting them right. But yeah, no, he linked with Malo. Like I said, very similar to me and you. We talked.
Hmm.
I figured out what his needs were, and then I just aligned them with the machine that will work out the best. And so, like, same thing with you, man. So, like I said, send me your 3000, man, if you want to. I'll get it right. We
I
get you
got
back
to.
in the game on that one, and
I
we go.
got to.
Man.
I gotta. Look. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure because I remember you said something about you finna start painting them or what have you. I was like, I'm trying to figure out how I wanted to look or whatever. And then I seen like Battle Cat got the wood grain and all that. I was like, man, whatever I do, it
Hey,
gotta be stupid.
do this. So if you send me some pictures, you will be one of the first ones that I do. So if you want to customize it, if you want to do, something,
Yeah.
Send me some ideas of what you want, or you could just say, "Hey, man, kind of this is an idea. You just take it from there." And I'm pretty creative, and trust me, I will. If you want to do it, I will cook you up something that, bro, you ain't. It's gonna be in every video you ever do from here on out. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I want some arrogant shit. That's what
Yeah,
I want. I want some hard,
yeah.
some hard.
You from Atlanta? We might put some diamonds on it.
I in a line.
Hey, we gonna bust it down like an AP. We ain't gonna bust it down. You gotta have a bust down 3,000. Hey, he gonna be the first one with the bust down 3,000. We gonna we
All right, I'm gonna have to get security for the machine. It be like, hey, that bro MP right there. Don't even get
Hey,
close
with the
to
music you making, man, it's fitting, brother. It's fitting.
it.
Yeah. No, text me some stuff, man,
No,
and then I'll hit you up, and then we'll coordinate all the shipping and all the other stuff, and we'll
okay,
do
I
all.
got you. I
Yeah,
got you.
straight though.
Hey man, I appreciate you, bro. I really, really do, man.
Yeah, for
And
sure. Shout out to everybody in here, man. Sorry we didn't get to.
yeah,
I tried to get to the questions as I could, man. I saw you guys typing in there, man. I
yeah.
tried to answer anything that popped up that I saw.
And give them your IG and your YouTube one more time, man.
Yeah, so it's if you're not following me, it's Max Vibes. So MAXXVIBES 4. That's my Instagram. And then, like I said, you can find me using the same thing on YouTube. Just like I said, I'm not. There's two Max Vibes on there that literally spelled the same way. That one of them is not me. It's not. Just look at it. It don't look like anything I would do. Anything I would do.
Yeah.
Because we already got their subscribers up. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that's a page I just put as a bookmark, and I'm gonna start growing my social media, so you'll start seeing more of me.
Yeah, man.
Again, got a lot going on right now, so
Yeah, man. Hey, like I say, man, you a good brother to know, man,
for
because
sure, man, for sure.
you never know. And then just the conversations, man, and the game, that be the best part. It's not the equipment cool, don't get me wrong, but just the information and the knowledge, and then also just the ear to talk, man.
Yeah,
That
for sure.
shit cool.
I tell you, man, hey, hit me anytime, brother. You need something. And like I said, when you go through that board and you functions check, if there's anything that got messed up in shipping or anything that's wrong, bro, you bang my line and we will get it straight. You're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
end
no.
6 ASR 10s before this is over, dog. So you know what I'm saying? You're not gonna go into this and be like, oh, it's cool, but this don't work. Nah. Nah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nah, nah.
you keep messing around, man. If it's messed up, you're gonna be on a plane to Atlanta with my tool bag to get it fixed.
Hey,
Let's get you
hey,
right.
I got you. I'm gonna take you to Magic City. We're gonna get some wings. You know what I'm
I'm not going.
saying?
You ain't
Hey,
finna
look, we just gonna say we went for lunch. Now, whatever else happened,
Hey,
welcome
you
to Atlanta.
ain't finna get me, man. You ain't finna get me. You ain't finna, I know
Welcome
better
to
than that one. Yeah, game
it.
over. Yeah, nah, but nah, I appreciate you, brother. So if you ever need anything, shout out
Yes,
to
sir.
everybody on here. I keep seeing Chris Davis, A Major Keys, Dr. Indy, Intricate,
That's the
Tupac,
fam. Yep, yep,
everybody, man.
yep.
Y'all are all dope people, man. So, if there's something I can do, like I said, I can't help everybody, but if I can, I definitely will. If if I feel you're worth the effort, I'll help you out. So, but if you need something, brother, hit me, man.
I got you. I got you. I got you. I appreciate you, Doc.
Hey, for sure, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Everybody that's in the live, you guys can like the live video and subscribe to the channel. That'll be dope. And beat review tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If you guys want to participate, all you guys got to do is, oh crap, my bad. My bad, y'all. All you guys got to do if you want to be a part of beat review tomorrow is email gmbeatreview@gmail.com. That's gmbeatreview@gmail.com. And then tune into the live. And we got the sound worked out this week. So everything gonna be straight. And that's about it, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all. I appreciate y'all tapping in. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Oh, and I dropped 2 new videos on the channel, man. Y'all go look at them. Y'all go like them. Y'all go comment. Y'all go share with a friend. And I appreciate y'all. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe. Y'all keep following y'all dreams. I'm going to keep following mine. And next time.